What is good, everybody? It's your boy Drew, and this is Vintage and Stuff. Yes, it is back. And how is it back? Well, let me tell you. I'm going to be releasing all of the 2+ hour episodes that were all locked behind the Patreon. Some of you may have seen this episode with Jordan, Peck, Idaho jeans, but you only saw the 45-minute free version. This is the 2+ hour version that you had to pay for. I'm going to be releasing all the old paid episodes for free on the YouTube and on iTunes. And I do have new episodes coming. So I have one new episode in the bag. You know who you are. I'm sorry I never put that out, but I'm going to edit it. It's going to come out very, very soon. And in the new year, I'm going to have lots of new episodes coming out, fresh, amazing vintage and stuff podcast content for you guys to soak up. I'm re-fired up. Life has been lifing, but I'm re-fired up to put it out. But for now, I'm going to be releasing weekly the 2+ hour episodes. This was a suggestion by a fan. He's like, can you release them? Because it's been a while. So I'm going to release all the 2+ hour episodes that were locked for free. So this is Jordan Peck, Idaho jeans. It's a wicked episode. Not a lot of you have probably seen the full episode. Only the people who were paying for the Patreon before got to see it. So enjoy it. A lot of vintage denim knowledge in this one. A lot of mine stories. A lot of real Idaho digging in this one. If you want to support the show, go shop F as in Frank Vintage online, okay? Links down below. Go shop F as in Frank Vintage online. Check it out. We're posting a ton of new product. Go check it out. But that's it. The show's coming back. I'm going to start releasing weekly episodes again. And for now, all the old episodes that were locked are coming at you. 2+ hour. Here you go. And I know you missed this theme song, so let's run it. Jordan, welcome to the show.
How's it going, buddy?
Thank you for coming on. It's going good.
Right on.
Going real good. So, I don't actually know you very well. We've chatted a few times at events and things, and what I do know about you is that you have a lot of crazy denim. That is for sure.
I don't get out much. Usually in a barn or in the mountains somewhere. So usually pretty private like that, but
good places to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I did see you at Durango at Britt's event, and
it was crazy.
It was quite a unique event for sure. And you had a table. I mean, I didn't know it was your table at first. I'm like, just walking around. We're under the tent. It's a small, intimate show, and you just had this crazy table full of bucklebacks, which you don't really see very often. You never see that much crazy stuff in one place. So that's the impression I have of you, is that you have a lot of bucklebacks.
Yeah, it's my thing. I mean, I do a lot of digging kind of in those really crazy barns and stuff, and find a lot of the lows and mids. But anytime I find a buckleback, I have a hard time letting it go. Seems a lot of people find them, and it's easy money. I mean, everybody wants a pair. They'll pay a couple grand, and then they flip them. I have a hard time letting them go. So when I get one, I usually try and hang on to it.
So how many do you have in your possession then right now?
A lot.
Crazy. Okay, I did not know that.
150 maybe, something.
Wow.
A lot.
How many of those would be Levi's?
Can't tell you that. A couple dozen probably.
That's wild. I had no idea. So it makes sense that you had a full table of them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kick this off with jumping back to the beginning. Like, how did you get into this? We know
your handle is Idaho Jeans, Idaho Jeans 2, because you said you got hacked. So you're in Idaho, we know that.
Yeah.
Right? But how did you get started into selling vintage denim?
So I was born at a very young age. No, sorry. Terrible joke. I originally went to school for petroleum and petrophysics engineering and got out, started making crazy money, and just was working for the man and hated it. Absolutely hated it. I've been a picker, digger.
Petroleum engineering. Yeah. Is that what you said?
Yeah, petroleum and petrophysics. So wellbore stuff, reservoir characterization, and just an oily, I guess they call us.
Wow, that's crazy. So one of your friends did say that you're very good with the numbers, science and the numbers.
Nerdy, yeah.
Okay.
I kind of hated it. I mean, the money was crazy, but I got tired of working for the man, if you know what I'm saying. And I've always been a
100%.
picker, been doing it since I was, 7 years old, 6 years old. I started flipping deer antlers and then started getting into other antiques. And I think it was 5 years ago, I was helping my brother remodel this old house in a mystery town. There's a lot of mystery towns. Mystery Town, Idaho. And,
Mystery Town, USA.
Mystery Town, USA. And we were trying to put this chimney up through the ceiling and then through the roof. And it was a pain in the butt because it was this deep in denim. Just jeans.
No shit.
Jeans and sweatshirts and t-shirts and all this stuff. And it was like, I don't know what to do with this crap. It's in the way. We're like scooping it out of the way. And I got a wild hair that it could be worth something and reached out to a guy who I won't name, and he rolled up in the middle of the night in a blizzard and swept it all away. And come to find out later, it was worth a little more than I thought it was. But there was a pretty good stack of bucklebacks and
so it was like the attic was stuffed with clothes.
Yeah.
You're trying to run a chimney up through it.
Mm-hmm. And so they used it to insulate this old building. There was that much up there, and there was dozens and dozens of pairs of blue jeans, and there was some Levi's stuff, foremost, a lot of jerky throughout it, and there were sweatshirts and other terrible stuff that I wish I hadn't sold cheap. But I kind of didn't have any idea until afterwards. I was up there and we had cleaned everything out. I found one more pair of jeans and was like, these are interesting. They say Levi on them, but the buttons are all donut shaped. And you probably know what that is. And the pockets were blank. So I hucked them out there for sale. And this guy, Sam Poole, scooped him up and he paid me a couple grand. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of money for some torn jeans. And he was like, these are amazing. This is one of my favorite pairs ever. And his passion kind of started getting me just into it. And I was like, this is weird. Why is this guy so obsessed with dirty pants? And I kind of started to dive into the history and got obsessed with it. And known bad boy Sam Poole still has that pair of jeans, and he taunts me with them constantly because that was kind of my first big find. I'll get them back one day, Sam. That's crazy. One day.
One day, watch out. Oh. I was under the assumption that you've been in this longer than that. So you're really only 5 years deep sort of selling.
Yep. I quit my job as an engineer to do this full time. And kind of that focus in engineering and science, I've just lasered in on learning this denim thing. And now it's just all I think about, all I talk about. Pisses off all my friends and family. They just glaze over. I start talking about jeans and it's just...
Yeah, not good dinner conversation at Thanksgiving. I heard a story from one of your friends that when you were a kid, you used to go into abandoned mines.
Mm-hmm.
You used to like tie off ropes and lower yourself into abandoned mines, which I'm sure your parents weren't too happy about. Because that's probably one of the most dangerous things you could do as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tell us about that. Like, that's pretty wild. Not a lot of kids can claim that they did that.
So I grew up in Mystery Town, Montana, and there's a lot of mines out there. Britt would know exactly where, because I know he's already been through all those. But one of these mines, well, I'll back up a little bit. Yeah, so I went in those mines constantly, and I was finding just amazing old treasures and pieces of clothing, and even found 2 pairs of center patch, makes me sick, center patch Levi's in decent condition, 1870s most likely. And I just thought, boy, these are weird. I'm wearing Levi's right now. I didn't know they were around that long, and I tossed them back down and left them. And
Jesus.
Fast forward to when I had that conversation with Sam, kind of about Levi's, and started paying attention. I was like, I know where some of these are, and they're still there. So I put my notice into my boss, and I was like, I'm leaving for the weekend. And he's like, no, I need you around. I was like, hopped in the truck and drove for 9 hours. Went up there, picked up my brother, told him, I was like, hey, we're going to get rich. We're going to find these Levi's that are worth a fortune. It took us 2 days of hiking around to the mountains to find this old mine, because it'd been a decade. And we finally find it, and the hole is like this big. So it's all like caved in. So we like dig this thing out, crawl back in there. And I'm like, yeah, this is the one I remember because of these timbers and all that. And it was probably close to half a mile deep back in this mine where these jeans were laying when I had last seen them. We go in about 200 yards and it's just collapsed. The whole thing is just done. And I was like, all right, we're going to try and excavate this thing. And we dug a little bit, and just us disturbing the floor made rocks like this start coming off the ceiling behind us. And we're like, there's no way we're going to get killed doing this. And this mine is so far back, there's no way you could ever get equipment there. It's like a foot trail to get there.
They're still in there.
They're still in there, boys.
Out there, buried in the dirt.
Yep, buried in the dirt.
Oh, that's so crazy, dude.
It's crazy.
I think we've all had, though, some like piece that's gotten away. It just happens to be that yours is like yours is up
the
here.
Very top. Yeah. Yeah, that was my shot. I was sure I was going to come back with them, but no.
Did anything come out of that trip? Did you find any other stuff in the mines?
Yeah, a stick of dynamite. We thought it was a candle. Picked it up, and I'm like, oh, let's just set that back down. And it was all crystallized and
that's probably why the mine collapsed. That's
some other idiot went in looking for those jeans.
Yeah, that's crazy. So Idaho, a good amount of dealers and pickers in Idaho from what I know, from people I know. It seems like it's pretty good out there. Obviously, it's any rural place in America, that has a history of farming, workwear, mining, all these things is going to produce product. So what's the competition like out there for what you do?
It's pretty
You guys all
stiff.
work together, or is it tight?
Yeah, so I've got a really good team. Huey Stitches, that's Houston on Instagram. There's Mallory Ridge, that's Andrew Simpson. And Retro on Maine, that's Rose. And that's my team of 4 people. And we pick a lot together. Like, we don't ever like to go in somewhere just solo. And we found that kind of working together, we can really share our strengths. Like, Rose is really good at retail. She knows how to sell those lows and mids like crazy. And she knows more about the women's wear. Andrew is like a military nut expert. He just actually found this crazy jacket. He moved to a museum down in California.
Wow.
And Houston's our sweatshirt and t-shirt guy. And I'm Mr. Jeans. So we kind of all work together and complement each other's businesses, and we don't really flip off of each other. We trade and stuff, but I don't, like, Houston wouldn't buy a $1,000 sweatshirt from me for $80, tell me it's nothing, and then flip it. He'll be like, bro, this is something special. So we kind of got that relationship, and it's cool to have people that got your back whenever you need to just jump in a truck and go dig through a mine or a barn somewhere.
Yeah, of course. And it's cool, like you said, that you guys complement each other and can work together in that way, because it's kind of rare. I've seen this more in the last 10 years than previous, where people are now working together, and like, because you're right, you don't want to be out there doing some of this stuff alone.
No,
it
definitely
can be dangerous. Not. You don't know what situations you're going to get into. You need backup. You need extra hands just for the sheer workload of some of this stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah, and it is really dangerous. I mean, Andrew, I watched him fall through the attic of a barn, and I think I've got a picture of it. I should probably put it on my Instagram, but he's like there hanging with his legs through the floor, and I've
No
been
way.
trapped in mines before. I've had stuff collapse in behind me and had to dig my way back out, and I've been hit by rocks, and it's good to have somebody
No
with you for
way.
sure.
So I got a question. This pertains back to you as a kid going into
Yeah.
mines. So give us like your top 5 tips for going into abandoned mines.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's dangerous and it's stupid. I mean, if you have kind of an idea of what you're looking for and like how to go into a mine and be safe, I mean, there's lots of poison gases they'll settle in these mines. There's CO, carbon monoxide gas, CO2, there's H2S gas. And like if you get into a high H2S concentration, the way I've heard it described is you can walk through it and it'll be like on the bottom couple feet of the floor and stir it up. You'll take a breath and you'll feel dizzy. Your next breath, you'll be on the floor. Third breath, you're unconscious. Fourth breath, you're dead. And it'll get you that fast. So you want to take a detector with you, a multi-gas detector, if you're going to be doing that. I did a lot of mining kind of with my engineering degree, or my engineering career, so I kind of have an idea of where it's getting dangerous, but it's unpredictable. I mean, one of these I was in, we were crawling through a hole maybe 2 feet wide, and I had my brother with me, and we go, and there's this opening, and we could actually see denim on the other side of where this floor had fallen out. We're like, boy, we got to try and find a way to get over there. And I look up, and right here, there's boulders the size of a car. They're being held up by willow branches that are just kind of woven into it, and they've like molded and turned to dust, but somehow they're still holding this boulder. And it's like, if I had like leaned against it, I'd probably still be up there. But top 5 things, top 5 tips is 1, don't do it. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. 2, if you're going to do it, make sure you got a hard hat, helmet, people to back you up. I think the next 4 tips are all safety. So
yeah, for sure.
I always take a string with me, and when I go into a complex, I'll take every single right. So I'll take the first right and put a string in front of that left split. Take the next right, put a string in front of that next left split until I hit the end of all the rights, and then I come back and do rights again, putting a string in front of every direction except out, so I can find my way out of the thing. So another thing I would suggest is take really good lights, lots of batteries, food, water, because getting trapped in those things is really scary. And unless you're Brit Eaton, I wouldn't recommend rappelling down into those things. Because it's super dangerous. I've done that sort of thing and gotten stuck, had the ropes get pinched and ropes get cut. Like it's really dangerous.
And you already said this, but also probably take a gas detector, because that sounds crazy.
I'd say that's number 1, man.
And that happens just from like those gases come out of the ground and just pool up in those places.
Yeah, so it comes from exhaust, and so my understanding is a lot of it will come from the timbers themselves, and they're deteriorating and releasing gases that'll settle. So a lot of this stuff is odorless, and you can't even tell. I mean, I know I hit one for sure, and I didn't have a detector, but we had found this entrance where this one had caved in probably 100 years ago. It was crazy. And we start digging this thing out, and we spend a couple days, and I mean, we're high school kids, so we had nothing else better to do. We dig this thing out, we finally unseal it, and it's like this blast of just stagnant air. So we crawled in anyways. Get down in there, and in the dust, like it was just so still and quiet in there. In the dust, there was one set of cowboy boot tracks coming out back there in the dirt, and there was lots of cool stuff in there. But once we got further back in there, we started feeling like kind of gross, lightheaded, sick, and fortunately it would have been low concentrations of poison gas or whatever it was, so we made it out, but probably shouldn't have.
So you said before you got stuck once. It collapsed behind you. Was this when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I was, I think, 17 or 18, and I had crawled through this small tunnel, maybe 3 feet across, trying to get back into this, see what was back there. and some stuff shifted and some rocks just fell out, and it left a gap about like that. And you'd think you could just pull all those out of the way, but there's nowhere to put them. So it's like you got to take a rock and walk it back to where there's more space and leave it and then come back and get another rock. And Mom, I hope you're not watching this.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. We used to, I grew up in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, which is like near Buffalo, Niagara Falls, that area. And we had old forts where I grew up, right? It wasn't a mining town or anything, but there's these old forts from like the 1800s, and they had tunnels, and there was like tunnels from some of the houses to the fort. So like when the town was getting attacked, you could go into these tunnels and like evacuate the house to the fort, right? So, you know, we're all like in our teens partying, and we would like be smoking weed at these forts or whatever we're doing. And we would like always dare each other, like go, because you could like crawl. They had it all gated off, but you could like crawl under gates and like get into some of these tunnels, and we'd like go back and see how far we could get. A bunch of them were like, I totally collapsed in too, because this is like hundreds of years old. But I just remember it being super freaky.
Oh, like, it's terrifying. And there's nothing like the darkness and silence and loneliness back when you're a quarter mile, half a mile under a mountain. One of my favorite stories, and this might be the one that one of my buddies was referring to, is we had crawled back into this mine maybe, boy, it was a long, long ways. I mean, it may have been half a mile back. Just we were under this huge mountain. And we find this trap door in the floor of this kind of big, like almost like a cathedral room. But this thing was probably 100 feet across, and it had all the tracks and everything where the carts were all met right there. And we go off this one tunnel, and there's this trap door in the floor. And I mean, square nails, rope handle, just amazing old trap door. We lift this thing up, and there's two ladders that just go down on either side. And we're shining our lights down there, and we're like, man, we can't even see the bottom of this sucker. So we shut the lights off while we find this pipe that was like filled with concrete or whatever, and it was probably 40 pounds, 6 feet long. We take this thing, and it feels like when you've got the lights off, it's quieter, right? So we shut the lights off, and we drop this dead center down the hole, and it just goes, never hit. And we like we listened for like 20 something seconds. We're like, what the? So we take a big old glow stick and snap this thing and drop it down the hole, and it just goes until the thing gets too dim to see anymore. Wow. Probably a big pile of Levi's at the bottom of that thing. But I had no desire to try roping into that. I don't know how deep that was, but that really freaked us out, and we ended up getting out of there pretty quick because it was just so eerie.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like hundreds and hundreds of feet deep. These mines, like people, I think, because I used to think this too. Like you'd think of a mine, and you're thinking like someone digs into a mountainside, this straight tunnel, and that's it. But these mines, when you look at them like in a 3D rendering map, there's like shafts go down, right? And then the tunnels are called something different, or
drifts.
Yeah. So that it's like this spider web of like tunnels. Shafts and drifts, and you're like, it goes for days. Like we do have a mine near where I live. It's called Britannia, right? And it was I think copper and a few other minerals. Like for a few hundred years they ran this mine, massive. And there's something like 5,000 kilometers of tunnels or something within this mine.
Sounds good to me.
And
let's go.
The problem is we're like in the Pacific Northwest. It's so rainy that like 90% of this mine is flooded out, and it's just filled with water. Because I think they had to keep it pumped out for years and years and years when it was in operation.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems out here, kind of in where I live. And if you start to head east, is you get a lot more moisture, and a lot of those mines are full of water. But that's why a lot of people like Nevada, Montana, Wyoming, New Mexico, Arizona, it's usually a little bit drier. But and
then once you have moisture in the system, the denim is dead anyway.
It's gone. I have found stuff, and it looks it'll almost look like a perfectly good pair of jeans, but it's literally just a ghost of what was sitting there at one point. Just dust, just nothing left. But it's pretty cool though when you get in some of these and there's water that's just been sitting there forever and it's crystal clear. I was up in a mine in northern Montana once, and it had filled with water. So we were going down into this tunnel, and it had filled with water. So if you're thinking at an angle like this and the water sits like this, you couldn't barely tell that there was actually water there. It was so clear. So we're like shining our lights, and you can just barely see this reflection, but you can just see straight down into the tunnel. Like there's nothing, like there's no water there. It was that clear.
Yeah, no wind to disturb it, just perfectly flat.
And cold. Really cold.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
So, the whole finding jeans in mines, to me, it's been very glorified, right? Obviously, like it's the best story of how people find clothes. But in reality, and you can tell me if I'm off on this, but not a lot of stuff actually comes out of mines. It's super rare to find anything in a mine.
No.
Most of the stuff comes from estates, people's houses, farms, all the other ways that we find old clothes, old people that never let go of anything, people that through the Depression learned that you don't throw anything out and you keep it all. And it's so different than people nowadays.
Yeah, I think Britt and Mike Harris kind of got all the mine genes already. There's only so many mines. And I mean, there are a lot that are way, way out there that I'm still finding and people haven't been in 100+ years, but I think a lot of that stuff has already been found. So to find anything that's, I'd say pre like 1910 is almost impossible unless it's underground. So structures just don't last that long. Water is going to find a way to get to that piece of denim or whatever that piece may be in 110 years, 120 years. So it's almost impossible to find anything that old on the surface. It has to be underground. Now, like I found a lot of like 20s stuff, bucklebacks, like 20s, 30s, 40s. But to actually get something that's earlier, one pocket is just, it's underground. I don't know anybody who's actually really pulled a one pocket off the surface.
And by the surface, you mean like out of somebody's house or
out
something
of a
like
barn,
that?
A house, a basement, anything like that. I mean, underground is where time just will stand still. As long as there's not rodents and water. I mean, I've been in mines and found like literally like remnants of food, on plates and stuff like that. That's just, time just stops underground. But on the surface, there's always something that gets to it.
That's very interesting to me. I never thought about that fact. Like I thought for sure somebody's attic, somebody's barn, someone would have a one pocket late 1800s jean somewhere.
I've never got one that way. Only underground.
Wow. So
one of the weirdest ones, and I'm going to reach up and grab this real quick. This is really interesting. So this is a chin strap work shirt. Super, super old. Pretty good size. It's like a 44 or something. But it looks like it's in pretty good shape, right? You bet that came out of a mine or out of a good dry attic or basement. This shirt, actually, the guy I got it from found it buried in the sand in the desert on the surface. Like part of it was sticking out of the sand, and it laid on the surface for over 100 years. So I think there's something to be said with how dry it is down there in Nevada, that some of this stuff will survive. So, I mean, it smells kind of like, it's got like a tar or pitch smell to it. So maybe it got soaked in something before it was left out there. But that's really probably the only instance I've ever heard of anything that old coming off the surface.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just sitting there in the sand.
There were the Solomon Warner Levi's from 1890 something, 92 or 93 that came out of a trunk in somebody's attic, and they were dead stock one pockets. But that was like 10, 15 years ago, and they ended up selling somewhere in Malaysia. That's probably the only one I've ever heard of came out off of the surface.
Wow. I guess I don't pay that much attention to where these things are coming from. What's the oldest pair that you've ever had in your possession?
oldest Levi's stuff. I mean, I've got some 1874 Levi's rivets that are pretty neat, but actual complete pairs, I can't really tell you. I've got some old stuff though, pretty old stuff.
And what about like there's probably a lot more knowledge out there about dating Levi's in particular than dating any other brands, because there's such a complete timeline, and they were the largest probably, right? So when you look to date like other brands, can we, I'm not that into, I never see this shit, you know what I mean? I see like, me and Jesse were talking about it, and we probably had 5 bucklebacks, maybe 10 bucklebacks in the 20 years we've been doing this, right? How's the knowledge about dating all the off brands and other things, and what are some of the things you can like look for to actually date something that's not a Levi's?
So I'll show you. Levi's was kind of the standard that everybody wanted to be, and that started in 73 when they put the rivet in, and there was the patent from 73 to 90, and no one else could run rivets at that time. So that if a jean is one pocket, doesn't have rivets, it's off-brand, they have different supports. I don't have an example up here, but so how old jeans, you've got the rivets on them. Nobody else could have rivets from 73 to 90, 1873 to 1890, except Levi's. Everybody else wanted to be like Levi's, but they couldn't do the rivet because of the patents, so they would have other reinforcers. So instead of rivets, metal rivets, they would have leather patches sewn there. And at points of strain, they would have maybe leather, or I've seen just a massive blob of like a dart, like where they just keep sewing and sewing and sewing and put like a, what do they call it? A bar tack almost thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as that patent expired, everybody started slamming rivets on their jeans. So that would put a jean kind of in that time if it doesn't have rivets and you see those other features.
Yeah. And I was looking at old pictures of stuff that we had, and we had a pair of bucklebacks with the archuit, the Levi style archuit, but they weren't Levi's. They were some off brand that just copied the archuit. You could tell because they had like a triple stitch seam line. And I was asking Sam about them, and he's like, yeah, these were off brands. And people were literally copying everything, I guess, except for how could they copy the archuit, but without the rivet and not copy the rivet?
So that would be stuff that's super, super old, and people were copying the archuit, however you want to say it, all the way up until about World War II. That's kind of what I saw it kind of stop, and I think Levi's just started suing the heck out of everybody because they got tired of their crap, because everybody was knocking it off. Like, this is a 30s foremost jean. You see the arcuit there pretty well. Like that's obviously Levi's inspired. Here's an older one, and I'll show you why it's older. You can kind of see the ghost of it there.
Yeah.
So another way that you can date these things, and this is what I have found to be pretty reliable, is take a look at where that buckle is placed on the jean. See how it's below the waistband?
Yeah.
See how this one is on the waistband?
Yeah.
So belt loops on jeans mostly showed up in the early 20s. That's kind of when Levi started doing it, and everybody else kind of followed suit. There were a few that started earlier. So on an early pair, you got belt loops. See the belt loops?
Yeah.
They just slap those babies on there while the buckle and the suspender buttons were already here. So now you have this big conflict here of a belt loop and buttons and a buckle, and it hurts your ass. So there's all that stuff there. And that became a problem. So later on, they moved the buckle lower so it wasn't conflicting with the belt loops and having your belt run through there. And people got tired of these being under the belt and pushing into your back. So those went away on Levi's in 36, 37. And the buckle went away at the start of World War II. So if you don't have a buckle on your jean, it's likely World War II or newer. So here's a World War II 501. Notice the blank back pockets. This was right after the buckle went away, 1942. And I mean, I can kind of get into all the details. I think everybody kind of knows what a war jean is already. So,
Yeah, we've talked about it, but I mean, the general gist is the war rations, right? Where everybody had to, like, the government mandated that all manufacturing be done with minimal supplies because all the supplies were going into the war effort.
Exactly. So this is a 501 jean, and during the war they called it an S501, and the S stood for what I believe was satisfactory. So satisfactory to meet war ration conditions. And they determined that this arcuate, that you don't see on this jean because it's not there, the arcuate was not necessary to the construction of the jean. They also pulled the watch pocket rivets. So a World War II jean should not have those. And they had donut buttons. This pair has solid buttons. Here's the donut button variation. This saved a lot of metal when they were manufacturing these jeans. So if you have a war pair with all the war characteristics but solid buttons, you know it was an early war pair while they still had those solid buttons from earlier in the like they were just leftover buttons before they ran out of them and had to start using the classic donut buttons. And later on in the war, so you see the back pockets are blank, Levi's really needed that arcuate because it was part of their branding thing. And they felt it was necessary to have an arcuate on there. So they brought Artisan. I don't think you can see it, but this pair has a painted arcuate that you can see if you get your light right. And it sits right there. You can see it if the jean's wet. Very desirable feature, but it came off really, really quick once the jean was washed or worn too much.
It's so crazy to me that little bit of stitching for the back pockets made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that little teeny bit of thread made a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to ration that out. You know, you got to say that about the buttons too, for sure. And then, like, did Levi's actually get contracted? See, in my brain, I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, I know why they had to ration. Everybody's rationing because they're probably ordering buttons from like a metal supplier who has to then create parts for guns or who knows what, right? But did Levi's themselves get contracted to actually make anything for the war effort? Do you know that?
So there's a lot of kind of conspiracy about that. They really didn't very much, but I have seen one or two pieces that were just crazy. I saw a dead stock World War II denim jumper, like, you know, the kind of shawl, the navy shawl. I think it was a shawl. No, I'm getting a couple things mixed up. It was a jumper, and it looked just like every single other jumper.
You're talking about the pullover with the big pockets here?
Yep.
Like,
and it literally looked like every single other one of them. But inside it had a tag, Levi Strauss and Company. And it was really neat, and I really wanted it, but it ended up.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the only ones.
Got to be worth a mint.
Oh, yeah. And then there was the Levi's, what did they call them? Spring bottom pants. Somebody found a pair that looked like they were U.S. cavalry. They were pretty neat, and they looked like they were almost dead stock.
And U.S. cavalry would be like the Civil War or something?
Well, 1890s, 1900s. So not that old cav, but they were cav. They had the stripes on the sides, and those were pretty stinking neat. That was pretty recent. That was in the last year or two somebody found those. But as far as military collaboration, there really wasn't all that much.
Yeah, like I haven't heard of it. That's why I ask, and I think it's interesting. If they're rationing, they were probably putting efforts into something else at the time, of course, just like the whole country, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and since we're talking about war stuff, let me show you one. This is my most recent crazy find, and I found this in Mystery Town a couple days ago, actually. And this is the first time it's been seen. So here you go.
Nice.
This is
on the show.
A dead stock Carhartt chore coat with, it's all inverted, sorry. You see the S, and remember S stands for satisfactory. So it is a war Carhartt chore coat, and it's got the label, it says the honor garment, union made for the glory of the union. And it's got the classic donut buttons with the laurel leaf for peace and the star for victory. But this one's really neat. It's also got these gigantic train buttons on it. I mean, these suckers are huge too. They're like the size of a quarter. So it's kind of got a few conflicting things on it, but it's got the double stitch, which was a war thing as well. It's only got one cuff button as opposed to 2 or 3, which a lot of these had. And it's got the 4-button pattern down the front. Most chord codes are 5. So that was a war thing as well. But yeah, this was just beautiful. A random find in Mystery Town, and the guy had a pile of this stuff, and he just saved it from an old miner. He saved all the dead stock stuff, all the stuff that had a little wear or damage he threw away just because.
Don't you hate when you hear that? Jeez.
All the time. I hear that 100 times for every time I find something. Oh, you shouldn't have been here last week. We took all of Grandpa's Levi's and we had a bonfire and drank beer and ate marshmallows.
Oh my God! So much. Somewhere it's happening right now.
Oh gosh! Don't say that.
Throwing out some buckle.
Don't say that.
I wanted that jacket. Reminds me of something. You know, I one time picked a dead stock white black bear jacket.
Oh.
And I heard from one of your friends that's your favorite brand.
I'm shaking.
Tell us about Black Bear. This was a long time ago, so I'll tell you about jacket quickly. But it was had the flasher tag. It was a white chin strap, Black Bear chore coat. I can't remember all the details. I probably could find a picture somewhere. But this was even before Instagram was like a thing. Mm-hmm. Beautiful jacket. And we've had certain Black Bear pieces over the years. I've definitely had a chin strap coverall. Yeah, now I know. I only learned this like last night. So tell us a little bit about Black Bear. What is it that makes it one of your favorite brands?
When I started hunting denim right after the big attic fiasco, I was like, okay, I got to find some more of this stuff. And it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be because I broke in easy, found an attic full of bucklebacks and 40s denim. So I started looking hard and I spent a couple months and found nothing. And this old lady reaches out to me from Mystery Town, and she's like, we were taking out this windowsill or taking out this window frame in our house, and this pair of jeans just fell out. And right away I was like, okay, that's probably something old. And she sends me pictures of this buckleback Black Bear jean.
Beautiful.
Very beautiful jean. And I was like, okay, I don't know anything about this stuff except people want it. And I rolled up and bought them from her. I think I paid $100 or something, and immediately tried to flip it. And there was the one guy who was interested in it. He wanted to pay me like $150. I was like, it's pretty cool. I think I'll just hang on to it. And then I started researching it and just kind of built this just obsession with the stuff. And anytime I find a Black Bear piece, I jump up and down and celebrate. Here's a pair I just found recently. So we talked about World War II being double stitched and not having arcuates. So here's a World War II Black Bear jean. Donut buttons, and I think there's zinc. And I'm just obsessed with the stuff. It's really, really rare. It's based out of Seattle. They went out of business, I think, in the 40s or 50s. And a guy named Josh Serlin kind of bought the brand and brought it back to life. And now he's got a massive Instagram, massive following. And he's on the hunt for this stuff. And I'm on the hunt for this stuff. And every piece I find, I keep. And
they brought it back? The brand is now resurrected?
Yeah. And he's kind of making new pieces inspired by the older stuff. So it's really cool. And I'm obsessed with the stuff. And it's so rare. I mean, I'll find 100 bucklebacks before finding a really crazy Black Bear piece.
You know, the only reason we find it is because we get a lot of the rag that comes up to Vancouver would be from Washington, right? Yep. We're just over the border. You know, obviously Idaho is pretty close to Washington too, so you're going to be finding some there. Mm-hmm. You know, it's when you look at the geography of Washington, you have the mountains. Like it's like the coast, like the Pacific Northwest coast. Then you have the mountain range, and then when you get over the mountains, you're basically into like dry, deserty zone.
Yeah.
Of like the Washington, East Washington is like desert.
It's
right?
the desert. Yeah.
Yeah. We were in a town. I don't even know the name of the town, so it's Mystery Town. Mystery Town, Washington State. And we were like doing a dig, but this dig was all sports, right? Because this was like during the snapback days, probably 10 or 12 years ago.
Before me.
We got a line on this guy that had a sports store. Went there, bought a bunch of old stuff. You know, the earliest stuff he had was probably like 70s t-shirt blanks, like old Russells and things like that. But in this town where he was, there was this old brick building. It was the classic, like, little main street of a town. Old brick building. Huge, like, black bear workwear painting on the side of this brick building. And we were like, holy shit. Like, this was an old general store that probably was like one of their main retailers or something. And, you know, obviously it was like a restaurant at that point or something. Like, it'd been changed, but the painting on the wall was still there, and it was the coolest thing.
Dude, if you ever figure out where that is, send me a text. I want to go take pictures. I'm obsessed with that brand, and anytime a piece of it comes up, I flip out and do everything I can to land it. And I've been really blessed in the last month. So I had gone probably a year and a half without anything, not a thread. And then I was digging through this old camp trailer from the 80s of all places, right? And finally got permission to get into this place. It was 3 years I tried to get in. I finally got permission. And he was like, you can dig through the 80s camp trailer. And I'm like, okay, I'd rather look in the barn, but okay, I'll look through this trailer. And I find this box of just denim. And I'm like, okay, this looks good. It's all 80s stuff, except for one hickory stripe piece. And I pull it out. I'm like, huh, okay, whatever. And then, did I see what I thought I saw? And I pull it out, and it's a hexagon pocket black bear piece with the big label and the weird hexagon shaped pocket. And I about lost my mind.
Now that you say the hexagon pocket, we've had the coveralls with that pocket.
Yeah, crazy.
And I do remember how unique that was. Obviously, when it comes to vintage, it comes to like what we do. That's the stuff people nerd out about, because you're like, this is an interesting detail. It's different. It's something unique that maybe this one brand did, and all those pocket formations have a purpose, right? Because what is the chest pocket of a chore jacket or something for? It's for your watch, right?
Yep, your watch, your pen, or even your tools, whatever. And I'm not sure why that pocket is shaped like that, but the pocket guys go nuts over that one. I didn't even know about that pocket until that piece popped out of that box, and I was like, what is going on here? And I talked to Denim Seeker, and he's like, bro, that's the Holy Grail. Congratulations. And I was like, yeah. So that one's in the safe right now.
Got to interrupt the episode for a quick minute to bring you a word from our sponsor, Gem Search. You can find this app in the App Store, GEM Search. This app allows you to search the whole internet, all your favorite vintage websites, eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, Etsy, plus many, many more. F and Frank's on there. You can submit your own website to be on this app in one place. Put in your keywords, and it searches the whole internet, saving you so much time. I'm going to search for skate shirts right now because, you know, I love my vintage skates. Let's go. I'm going to put in vintage 80s skateboard t-shirt. Okay, let's see what pops up. Search it. Boom. Okay, it's actually pretty sick. Okay, I got, you see that? I got Pal Peralta right here. I got Vision Streetwear, GNS, Vision, Vans, Hobie, all the long sleeve Bones Brigade for $2K. Who's tripping on that price? I mean, maybe that's the rate. I got that tee. What else? More Bones Brigade. The C, you can get all your searches in one place, saving you so much time. Let me find a good one here. I love these non-branded. Skate California. All right, so guys, on the screen is the link here. Down below in the show notes is the link to Gem Search. You guys got to download the app. It's just going to save you time. We all have like our favorite searches that we're hitting all the time. Search them here. It gives you like the whole internet worth of results. That's all you need. They support the show, so you guys should support them. I appreciate it. Go download the app.
So what jacket are you wearing right now?
I'm just wearing a 60s Lee chore coat. Nothing too crazy fancy. It's my pick and coat.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because it doesn't have the watch hole, right?
It should. This one doesn't. This one doesn't.
No, but some of them have an extra buttonhole.
Yeah, right here
on the chest where you put. Well, no, that's the pocket slit. But that your pocket watch would go in there, and then the chain would hang down and attach to an extra buttonhole, right?
Yep, right here. Let's see if I can find it. Right there.
Yeah,
so you drop it into there.
You drop it in there, and it hangs on a chain. So you grab it out, and so you don't drop it.
Yep.
Put it back in that pocket.
Yeah, I absolutely love the characteristics of like some of that black bear stuff and the funky weird pockets. And so I was on a dig in almost told you where. That's the one I posted that little video clip about 4 days ago. And we were digging through this old house, and it was just kind of on the fly. It was like kind of cold calling, and this guy's like, "Oh yeah, come out. I just bought these 2 buildings. Come dig around." And I'm like, okay, I guess. And then, I was expecting what you usually expect, a bunch of Y2K crap. And we get in there, and there's a plate sitting on the table of this thing. And he's like, the guy died in, I think he said 68. And there's a plate sitting on the table with remnants of food, a fork, an open beer, his glasses, the newspaper from 50 plus years ago. And I'm like, oh,
no
okay.
Way.
The calendar says like 68 on it, and it has like a couple days circled and dentist appointment, all this stuff. And he died. They drug him out and shut the doors. And I was like, okay, this could be something. And we get in there, and I see this corduroy something laying on the floor, like 80s cords. Here we go. Pick it up, and it's black bear buckleback corduroys. Didn't even know this thing existed. And I about lost my mind right there. So I fold that up, set it by the door, and it's like, all right, we're going to spend a little time in here. And we just start going through this building. And this guy's never done the clothing thing. And he started getting excited, and he just starts dragging stuff out of all these shelves and cabinets and throwing it on the floor. I'm like, really? That's like World War II chambrays, just throwing them on the floor in the dirt, walking on them. And he's like, oh, I found the guy's whites, and it was all U.S. Navy. The guy was a war veteran. And so this fella, he opens up this cabinet, sticks his arms in, and scoops, and out comes a stenciled up Navy sweatshirt, World War II, big V on the front, got all of his stencil stuff and information on it. And there were a couple of those in there, and there was all of the guys, like everything down to his underwear and his socks, his bell bottoms, his blue jeans, everything. Like this guy had walked off the ship and stuffed everything in a closet and left it there. And I ended up getting a bunch of photographs and letters and everything except for his dog tags. And I mean, we got his whole wardrobe, and I'm going to try and set up like this display with the whole guy's, just his entire setup of all his clothes. And Andrew Simpson, Mallory Ridge, is going to help me because he's a war guy expert. And he's like, okay, you got all your denim bucket hats, and that goes with this uniform, and the denim jeans and the whites and everything. He's going to set up all these different mannequins in our little display. So this pick was just nuts. I mean, there was 1910s, 1900s work shirts and just piles of it.
It's so wild to me that still exists, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Where that person died, like you said. Mm-hmm. Somebody took the body out, closed the door, and that was the end of it. They didn't. Yep. No family came to that house. Nobody like executed the estate and sold the stuff. Like that just doesn't happen, especially where we are here, because the property values are so high. So it's funny. Like Sam thought about this, and he's like, where property values are high, you're gonna have a harder time selling stuff or finding stuff because everything moves quicker. But where property values are lower, things can sit. Like that house would have sat empty for another 60 years, 70 years, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, like where Sam lives, I mean, before the guy's cold, they're running a wrecking ball through that thing and putting in a condo because that's the property.
Totally.
That's the property value over there. But you get into some of these ghost towns or places that are just run down where you can buy a house for 30 grand. There's a reason it's 30 grand is the nearest Walmart is 200 miles away. Yeah,
totally.
That is a place where you can find a lot of this stuff, but I would.
And the industry's dried up. There's no work anywhere, right? So nobody stays around. And I see it. Like when we drove out to Rhode Island last year from Niagara Falls. You go, even in New England, you still go through tons of those towns that are super run down. There's no industry left. You know, that's like half the houses are boarded up. You probably buy those places for 50 grand.
Yep.
Malls are empty, completely empty, turned into like swaps or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And word of caution, and I do tell a lot of people this, if you're going to go out and you're going to start cold calling these towns, the few people that are left are there for a reason. Yeah, and if you show up in your Prius with California plates and start beating on people's doors, you're going to get a gun in your face. And it's serious up there. I've had guns pulled on me before, and I'm from the area. Like I go back and pick where I grew up, and you still see guns all the time. Even out here, I had this new kid I was teaching how to pick. God, this makes me feel bad. That's funny. So I make him go and door knock, right? That's the hard part, is door knocking, asking for permission. He goes up and knocks on this door, and he's this big dude, and he kind of wanders up there. And this lady comes out, and she's got her arm behind her back, and I was like, oh no. Oh no. And she's like, yeah, you should probably get in your car and leave. He's like, okay. He backs up. She turns around, and she uncocks this just revolver, probably a 44 mag about this big, just uncocks it and walks back in the house. And I was like, yeah.
Damn.
It's dangerous. Probably more dangerous than going in mines. End up getting shot by some crazy grandma.
Yeah, well, people protecting their land. People are out there, like you said, for a reason, because they don't want to be bothered by people. They want to be out there doing their own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try and make it a point to never go into any place unless I've got permission. Because there was a thing that happened with my wife's grandparents about a year and a half ago. No, 2 years ago. And it was her great uncle had passed away in January of 2021. Yeah, 2021. And it was like that. It was this old estate, old barns and all this stuff. And it was just, I knew it was juicy. I was trying to get in there with the family connection. And he had passed away. And I start talking to him, and they're like, well, somebody came in there and looted everything out, took everything. And this guy was a World War II vet, and all his uniforms were gone, all his pictures were gone, and his father was a World War I vet, and they had the presentation flag from when he passed away that the military gave them was stolen. And all this old clothing was looted and taken out of there, and this they had trail cams and stuff set up, and they actually caught these guys, and they got charged for grand larceny, and one of them is serving 5 years in prison for looting all this stuff, including clothing. They actually, when they picked the one guy up, he was wearing some 50s bib overalls that he had taken off the property.
No way.
Yeah, very, very serious thing. A lot of people don't really grasp that when they go in and start picking this stuff, grabbing this stuff without permission. If you're grabbing a pile of Levi's bucklebacks, I mean, you know, that could be $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 a pair, right? You grab an armload of these and you take them and you sell them overseas, you've just stolen and black market exported stolen goods worth $30,000, $40,000. Like, you can get 20 years in prison just for that. So I think it's a very serious thing.
It's very serious. I've talked about this before. You know, the act of doing it is a felony. The act of breaking and entering. But yeah, I've never really put in context the black market selling of goods. And I guess you're right, because if whatever value you're taking, regardless of what the person paid for it, it has the retail value of whatever you sell it for is what they're going to get you for.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they can pin that on you, then that's huge. Like, it could be, you know, grand theft over hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on whatever
pair
you're
of
doing.
pants that the farmer probably didn't even care about, but it's still the act of doing it. And if somehow they can catch you, they'll catch you on a trail cam or something and track that PayPal transaction with whoever overseas that sent you this pile of money. Like, that could be a real problem. And that's what happened to this guy that broke into my great uncle's place.
That's wild. And then you said looting, which I've never also put context to it. It is looting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's dangerous, and I think now it's becoming more popular. So you're seeing it more and more. And I've had a couple of people reach out who have been arrested.
Jeez.
I don't know if they did any time. And like you said too about the gun thing, there's been a lot of people that have had guns pulled on them.
Yeah.
Again, so much of that can be written off for self-defense too. If you're on someone's property, they pull a gun on you, they don't like you, they shoot you, they're not going to think twice about it, and they might be in the right in some cases.
Yeah. I haven't found or seen a pair of jeans worth getting shot at. Well, there might be one or two.
If they're black bear, maybe.
If they're black bear, yeah. Center patch Levi's, maybe.
A shot in the leg is okay. I'll take a gun wound in the knee.
There's been maybe one or two, but yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of these farmers are actually really nice people, and they could really use the money, especially right now. And I rolled up on some of these guys, and they're not friendly. They're having a bad day. The tractor's broken, and they just don't want to mess with you. And you leave, and then you come back. Or I've pulled $100 bill out and be like, here, let me look through the barn. Because you just kind of get that feeling there's something there. And they're like, all right, hell with it. And you go in there, and there's nothing. Or I've gone in there, and I've pulled a pile of bucklebacks, and then instead of giving them another $100, you give them a couple $1,000, and they're like, oh my god, well, I'm gonna call Earl down the street, I know he's got more of this stuff, and I'm gonna call Frank. And that's one of my probably biggest secrets, is paying up on stuff to people who have no idea, because then you get tossed around like a football. So one instance of this was actually this black bear, the World War II black bear jean. This lady brought this little box of denim into my space, and she wanted like $40 for it. And I'm like, okay, here we go, Y2K. And it was full of red lines and had a nice Big E and some other really nice stuff in it. And I was like, look, I'll give you $700. And she's like, what? $700? Are you crazy? And I was like, no, this stuff's really good. And she's like, okay, I will be right back. And she comes back 20 minutes later with a World War II black bear and a couple crazy chore coats, including a chin strap and some 50s Levi's. And I gave her another big stack of cash. And then she went to bingo night and told all the other grandmas and grandpas about this weird kid with a cowboy hat that pays for trash. And that was kind of one of the starts for me. Is I just started getting passed around, got this reputation for paying up on stuff. And I mean, there's different ways you can do it. You can pay $25 for a Big E and sell it for $600-700 and have your huge margins, or you can pay up on it, be fair with people, and get 6 or 7 Big E's, sell them for $600 or $700. So there's kind of a couple different ways of doing this. And I've just found like kind of building my community and educating people and paying up on this stuff that's why I have over 100 pairs of bucklebacks.
Yeah, considering you've only been in for 5 years, is insanely impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way you're describing the two options, you either take a high margin but don't garner future business, or you take a lower margin and potentially garner more future business.
Yeah.
That, the first way is very short-sighted. The second way is more long-term oriented, right? It's like, let's have this business be sustainable.
Yep.
And like get more in the future and be better to our suppliers. It garners just a more lucrative future, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's smart.
And a lot of these, like some of these places I've gone into, I have lost. Like I have begged and pleaded, and I know that this is kind of a pillar in this little community. This is the original family. They're important people. And I get in there and I'll pay $100 just to get in the door, look around, find absolute garbage Y2K Dickies, pay them $100 a pair, and then I just lost. And then maybe 2 years later, I'll get a call from them and they're like, hey, we were going through this old barn and found this pile of jeans. Do you want to come out and look? And I can tell you, I've won a whole lot more than I've lost doing that. And people like you too. They like that honesty. And one of my favorite things to do is to pick up something from somebody. Like in the heat of the moment, one thing I have found is if you find something, you get really excited about it and you offer them $500, sometimes you shock them and then they won't sell it. So I'll pay them $20 for that type one. And they're like, okay, whatever. I leave.
Yeah, when you do the shock thing, I've had this happen too. Then they're like, wait a minute.
It's probably worth $1,000.
Yeah.
Come back
and
2
then
days
they get
later.
This weird thing. Fuck.
Come back 2 days later. Be like, look, I researched this thing and it is really special. Here's $400. Here's $500. And now you own that. You own that person forever. They are constantly going to be on the lookout for this stuff. They know they can trust you. And I don't mean to say that as being being manipulative, but it just seems to have really worked for me. It's been a good business tactic.
So much of that stuff is psychology. When you're going to these farms, when you're going to cold calling, you know, a lady comes out with a gun, you know, she could just be wanting to be left alone. You know, I don't know this lady, right? But she there could, you know, but there also could be like mental health out there in the wild of people that didn't want to like assimilate with other people in society. There could be all these things out there. So you're really having to play the game of learning like how to handle lots of different types of people in different scenarios, right? And it's deeply rooted in psychology.
Very much so.
You know,
I recently took my oldest brother, who is he's a psychologist. He has a PhD in neuropsychology, and I was like, this should be kind of fun. So I don't know if he's ever been in a barn. No offense, bro. So I take him to this place in Mystery Town about a week ago, and I was like, okay, this gal, she likes to be flirted with, and there's a lot of psychology of this because they might just pull the plug and then you're out. And he gets in there and he's like super friendly and just kind of does like the analysis thing on her and then starts talking to her. And it turned into this awesome pick and turned into an opportunity where we get to go back and dig this basement of an 1800s big retail building that's just chest deep and antique stuff. And he's like, wow, boy, there really is psychology to this. I thought it was just digging through trash. Yeah, there really is like kind of not really playing the person and their emotions, but knowing how to communicate and talk with people. And one of the most difficult ones is when you get into a hoard or a hoarder, because as soon as you darken the door of wherever they're living, the timer starts. And you get a certain amount of time to dig and you'll probably never come back. It's just hoarders are attached to their stuff. And because
the disease creates regret, right? So they're gonna they might let you have one thing, but then they're gonna stew on that one thing that they let go, even if it's total trash.
Yeah,
they'll stew on it because the disease makes them regret it and wonder and think about that thing. And yeah, that's
and then they'll call you 3 days later and want it back. Been there, done that. But
yeah, I've had a fair share of those types of people, and usually the people, in my experience, is where you find dead stock because it's a business owner who didn't want to let go of stock. He's like, I'm going to get retail for this, even if it takes me 50 years. And you're like, dude, it's been sitting here. It's so out of fashion. Like, you could have sold it and bought new stock, but you didn't because you have this attachment or this like attachment to this idea of what you think it's going to be, or the disease has caught hold of you, and they're really hard to handle, the hoarder mentality.
Oh, it really is. And one trick I found that really seemed to work for me, at least, is I try and find something super fast, just immediately. I scan over the top and I'm like, okay, this has value. I'm going to pay retail or higher for it. Because one thing about a hoarder is there's a lot of guilt. Their whole family is telling them this stuff is trash, clean out, it's worth nothing. But when the stranger comes in and appreciates what they've collected and what they've done, and then wants to pay them a lot of money for something that they saw value and no one else did, you have now made a connection with them. And I found that you're buying time when you do that. But if you can't find something good right away, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's every time you have a communication, you have the opportunity to solve like somebody's needs.
Mm-hmm.
So like what you're saying right then, you solved a need they had to be validated in maybe their hoarding, where their family was devaluating it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you've solved that for them, and then you've created the connection. You know, and when you look at sales too, it's like every time, you know, you want to create a connection with the person, and that's how sales tactics are. You want to make them feel good. You want them to leave that situation with you feeling good about the interaction, feeling good about the business they've done with you, right?
Absolutely.
And it can be tricky because like sometimes our instincts go the other way, and we're like, we want to, like, if they're not going to give us what we want to like belittle them, or not saying we, but just people in general, belittle them or tell them they're being crazy or tell them all these things, which really just pushes them farther away instead of getting.
And then you're out forever. So
then you're gone.
It is important to build good relationships, especially in this business. It's such a small world. Like, if I sell a special pair of jeans to somebody, I'll see them again. You always see that piece again. Like, everybody knows everybody, and I think pretty much everybody is connected through Instagram or some other way, and there's 20,000 maybe different big accounts, and once you follow all of them, you're going to see every single piece you've ever sold at some point. I mean, every once in a while it goes to a collector and goes in a hole, and that's kind of what I do when I get something special. Like, don't really post a whole lot of the really crazy stuff, but if people come out and visit, I'll show it to them and let them handle it. And
yeah, it is a small world. It's getting smaller as we're getting more connected via online and all these different things. And I've noticed it lately. You know, I used to think like this world is, even the vintage communities, it's very large. We're selling these things off to Japan, and you don't really ever see them again. But the rare stuff does circulate because no one's buying a pair of 1800s bucklebacks and wearing them till they fall off.
No,
you know what I mean? Because they're like, I paid too much to do that. Like it's something that needs to be cherished and live on.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting. So speaking of that, you know, and speaking of your way too many pairs of bucklebacks you own, what is your business model? Because you can't be doing this, keeping everything good and still be in business. You have to be selling things. So
that's what my wife says.
You know, totally. Yeah, I can hear that.
I buy pretty much everything I can get my hands on as far as like good quality vintage. I mean, you can't make a living flipping bucklebacks or war jeans. Like, that just ain't a thing. So a lot of the money is made in lows and mids. But I prefer, you know, the crazy stuff to add to my collection. So when I get into that barn or that hoard or whatever, and I start finding piles and piles of clothes, I'm not going to leave all the $20, $40, $50, $60 bills laying on the ground. So I am looking for that good piece, but I'm not going to leave all that stuff behind. So I scrape the cream off the top and keep that, and then I sell everything else, whether bulk or wherever. And I've got a friend, Rose is her name, and she just opened a little shop in our town, retro.on.main, and she has an Instagram. And I've set up a pretty big vendor space in there, and I sell a lot of my lower grade, like red lines on down through 501s and t-shirts, sweatshirts, a lot of my stuff there. And then I keep all the premium grade stuff for myself kind of in my collection.
What town are you in?
Lewiston, Idaho, up north Idaho, Panhandle, south of Coeur d'Alene, and Spokane. And she's got a really
you're
neat
how
little
far
shop
from the
there.
Canadian border?
Oh, about 4 hours, I'd say. I usually don't go that far north. I usually don't go north. I go south when I go picking, but it's about 4 hours, I'd say. But
okay. And do you have a plan for all all your collection, all your stuff? I mean, you're pretty new in the game. Oh, you do have a plan.
Yeah. So this spot, Retron, Maine, that Rose has opened up, I'm trying to get her to let me start setting up a museum in there. And I do have bucklebacks kind of displayed on the walls in there, and a couple really neat Type 1s and some early 1900 stuff. And my goal is to try and see if she'll let me get a section at the store, please, Rose, to display this stuff so people can come in and actually like handle a pair of bucklebacks and see why it's special and why it's unique. And that kind of turns into a way to source stuff again. They're like, okay, this stuff is under glass, or they really think a lot of this stuff. And I know there's some in the bar. So maybe I ought to grab it and talk to this guy. But kind of for right now, I mean, I'm trying to do that, but at the same time, it's kind of an investment, I think, too. I mean, this stuff, I think, is going to last forever, and the value is going to last forever on these old jeans. I mean, there were people that were picking old Levi's like in the 70s and 80s. And I think it's always going to be a thing. It's always going to be worth money. Right now, yeah, we're in a crazy bad dip, but the market just kind of trends like this. And I think right now is the time to be buying, scooping up all those hidden rivets and stuff that you can while they're cheap.
You think we're in a dip of the denim market right now?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I mean,
oh, yeah. It's major right now. As far as compared to how it was maybe 2 years ago, it seems like it's come down quite a bit. People have kind of softened up. And I think a lot of that was the exchange rate with the yen.
Yeah.
Kind of softened it up.
Sure.
And I'm scooping everything I can right now while it's cheap. And I mean, if you're an eBay fanatic and willing to just sell your soul to scrolling on eBay and dealing with that, you can get some pretty nice stuff for a bargain right now. And I do a lot of that.
So speaking of eBay, you had a crazy auction for a dead stock Big E jacket that I don't know what happened. I know there was some controversy there. You want to tell us about that story?
Yeah, the dead stock 557 XX. Amazing jacket. Something that you can usually sell overseas super easy. And I mean, I had offers on it and could have sold it for what the eBay price was, but I was like, I just want to test the eBay out. I find a few of these every once in a while, and it's not something I'm too worried about taking a hit on. So I listed it for $1, no reserve, and said, let's go, hoping it sells for more than I paid for it. And the auction picked up traction, and I think it closed at $5,150. And then the guy messages me on Instagram, and he's like, yeah, I had some financial problems. I'm not going to be able to pay for the jacket. And he didn't. So I pulled it off the auction, or off of eBay. It was gone.
And you sold it to a private seller?
Sold it to a private seller immediately. But I mean, I guess that kind of told the world how business is on eBay.
It's so true, and I seen it last week. We always have put stuff on eBay, like little bits here and there, but we had some snapback hats go on eBay, which again, I know is like a manipulated market.
Oh yeah, really bad.
I feel like there's overseas buyers are manipulating these markets. And, we had probably 4 or 5 good hats sell for good money and then just totally ghosted. Like not even, they won't even reply to my messages. And I'm like doing second chance offers to people. And those people aren't even,
and nobody wants it.
Now I'm like,
they're just inflating the market.
Inflating this fucking market. It's so annoying. You got to be wary of that.
I don't even want to deal with 3-stripe hats now after trying to sell them on eBay, because I don't really have a guy for those. I find them on occasion, and I've been tossing them on eBay. And dude, they'll sell 10 times and never get paid for them. And it's always the same country. I'm not going to mention which country, but they'll bid it up and it'll sell for a really good price and just ghosts. And when I sold that jacket, there were a lot of like really small new accounts that were bidding on it. And I was getting in there and I was axing all of those bids, just chopping them off. I was like, okay, this is obviously
you can do that as it goes?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I got an account that was made the day I listed the jacket, and I was like, And I chopped that guy's bid off. His bid was $50,000. So
Wow.
I chopped that bid off. And this guy who was putting those bids in, I was like, okay, this dude's going to win. Or this guy that's going to win, I'm not going to say his name. I should, because he was kind of a scumbag. But he bid all the way up, and he had vintage in the name of his eBay account. And I looked him up on Instagram. I was like, okay, this guy's real. And we talked on Instagram a little. And then he won, and he's like, I'm not going to pay. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm done selling good stuff on eBay. So I'll throw a few little things on there every once in a while, but
Yeah, it's a much safer bet if you have a customer for it, even if you take less than you think is the market. Like, it's really hard to always get top market, and people try too much. And I think be happy with close to the top and have a safe transaction.
And that was really a thing for me up until a few months ago. I was like, I got to get the top dollar or I'm not going to sell it. Got to get the top dollar or I'm not going to sell it. And I've got these piles of just stuff that I don't really want, but I got to get top dollar. And I was talking with Denim Seeker, one of my best friends in this, one of my coaches. Appreciate you, man. And he's like, stop being so selfish. Get rid of all that crap you don't want and use that money to buy stuff you do want. I was like, that's actually a really good point. So I started kind of dumping the red lines and just biggies and stuff like that and sweatshirts so that I could get those bucklebacks and those neat type ones and that really special stuff. Because when it comes down to it, it's like a red line sells for around $200 usually, $250. For $2,500, you can find a buckleback. Not like a crazy one, but you can find a buckleback for $2,500. So I look at like this: for every 10 pairs of red lines, for every buckleback I find in the wild, how many red lines do I find in the wild? Geez, maybe 300 red lines for every wild buckleback. So it's like, why wouldn't I trade them at a 10-1?
Yeah, totally.
Because it's just rarity at that point. And I'm like, I'd rather have
and
these.
the red lines are still available, and the bucklebacks are like the antique museum pieces at some point, and they'll have a higher skyrocket of value. You know?
Oh yeah, that's my theory. Anyways, I hope it pays off. Even if it doesn't, I've got a pile of good jeans I can wear because I try and get them in my size for the most part.
I mean, I think there's validity to that. I'm not a hoarder of much. I do have collections of certain things, not really any denim, because I always felt like the denim that I had was too valuable to keep and I wanted to sell it. But I think because the whole business was founded on denim, right? Everybody I speak to was like, Levi's got me in the business. Levi's got me in the business. You know, it's always been Levi's. So it's like the foundation of our whole vintage world, and I don't see it going anywhere. They don't rot away if they're kept properly, like black t-shirts or something. And I just see it. It's always held its value. I've been doing this for 20 years, and it fluctuates, but like that stock trend is always having higher highs eventually. You know what I mean?
And I don't think they're ever going to fall out of fashion. Everybody wears blue jeans. I mean, the t-shirt thing, I mean, most people wear t-shirts, and a lot of people wear sweatshirts and hoodies, but that stuff seems to kind of trend a little bit. Blue jeans,
Of course,
have always, I mean, you go out on the street, especially in Idaho, every single person is wearing blue jeans, and it's a fashion thing. And I mean, this is the root of that fashion trend. This is the original stuff, and everybody wants a nice pair of jeans or the nicest pair of jeans. So I see it kind of all as holding value. Like the rap tees and rock and roll stuff, I mean, it kind of goes in phases. Like, how excited do people get over Elvis t-shirts? Kind of whatever, exactly. Right? But Elvis was the freaking king of rock and roll. He was God back in the 50s and 60s. And now an Elvis t-shirt, people are like, whatever.
Yeah, even after a new Elvis documentary or Hollywood movie comes out, it still didn't skyrocket the t-shirts. Those things are too pinpointed to like specific genres, where like you're saying denim is an overarching fashion trend of the whole world that has iterations of it, but it's still it still holds, like the 501 is still produced probably in
Oh yeah,
super high numbers to this day, more than any other style. I'm wearing 501s right now,
yeah.
and they're
I'm
still
wearing
amazing.
Carhartts.
You know?
Yeah, I'm a trader today. But yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, everybody likes Levi's, everybody likes blue jeans, and it's kind of a status thing. I think, like sporting your selvage. People see that selvage seam and they're like, all right, I have no idea what that is. Or they're like, oh, I know what that means. I get it. And when you run into a random person at Costco that's wearing selvage jeans, say something to them and they'll get all excited every time. I know I do.
Yeah, but once Kirkland puts out salvage jeans, then everyone at Costco is going to have the friggin' Costco will have salvage. Yeah, totally. It definitely
my
connect.
Kirkland red lines.
When you look at like sweatshirts are having a moment right now, right? And I see the trend of sweatshirts skyrocketing. And I think there's a few things to that trend. I think partly it's because the younger generation of vintage enthusiast is like on the rise. Like we're having this boom of young people getting into true vintage, which I'm sure you've seen. You're in, right? And they can relate to the sweatshirt. It's something they grew up wearing. It's something that is, again, like it's stood the test of time in American fashion, like started through, like 30s, 40s, World War II for sports, for military, and then it continued to progress into as a staple of fashion, right? So now it's like, well, these kids are getting into it and they're like, I want the original version. It's a status thing to have the original sweatshirt, right? So I see that having legs, but I do see it. It's also like the quicker something rises, the harder it will fall. And when you see trends like skyrocket, like the Carhartt trend in fashion right now is so big. Like it's so popular. And I'm like, you can go buy this Carhartt jacket at Mark's Work Warehouse, but yet I can still sell it in my store for more because they want the fade. They want that look. But I just... like it's like a steady trend curve that goes slowly up is sustainable. A trend curve that goes fucking to the moon is not sustainable and eventually has nowhere else to go.
And then it's gonna
so
crash.
You look at like it's gonna come back down. So I mean, I think sweatshirts has legs. Those vintage sweats will always hold value, but I do think like it's like moment in our world will like soften.
It's bubble
Carhartt
time.
trend is bubble over, if you ask me. But it's interesting to see how these like trends in our fashion world and vintage world work, and we really do influence fashion as a whole. Like we are the tastemakers that the designers are coming to design next year's line or the year after next year's line. And it's funny, I was thinking about this recently because everybody has a connection to vintage denim. And I mean everybody in the world, because what I mean by that is you and me have a direct connection. You are out there picking them. You're finding the original bucklebacks, right? You eventually sell some of them. They go off to a design house. That designer makes it. It goes into Abercrombie. So something that you picked might end up on the shelf in Abercrombie as like a design detail, whether you like that or we all like that or not. And then some college girl goes into Abercrombie and buys it. Now she has the connection to that vintage world, to us, through that stuff. So it's like, it really is far reaching in that sense.
And one thing that worries me a little bit about like the classic vintage denim holding its value is how the change or shift in fashion is just starting, it looks like, with low-rise denim. Remember that early Y2K stuff? That looks like it's really starting to come back. And all the 501s and all of that older stuff is all a higher rise. And I wonder if that's going to impact what people think about bucklebacks or big E 501s or any of that denim. Because the last couple of years, high-rise denim has been a big thing. Everybody all the girls want jeans that are up on the rib cage, and that's all inspired from the higher stuff or the higher rise, older stuff. But right now, like, I'm starting to notice a lot of people wearing that low hip hugger Y2K stuff, like 2002, 2003. That was a major thing, as low rise as you could get it. And it looks like it's starting to come back again. Do you think that's going to impact the market, or?
I think those sort of trends are based in youth culture more so than they are like mainstream culture. So I don't know if that trend will go beyond.
Youth
teens
kind
or
of drives this thing
20s, right?
too. The youth kind of drive
That's
this
true.
thing though
That's
too.
true.
I mean, I sell a lot of my
Yeah.
good denim goes to 19-year-old kids, 20-year-old kids. Sweatshirts, they sell to high school kids. And
Yeah.
I just kind of wonder how much they are going to drive the market on this stuff, so that those 26
that
waist
I do,
501s are $20 again. I hope not.
We're in an era. I listened to an amazing podcast not long ago, and it was kind of like timelining fashion in America and Japan and how they're correlated. And used to be like trends were sort of all encompassing in America. Like when a trend hit, it would be like the whole country would get behind it, and then it would fade away, and then the new trend would come in, and the whole country would get behind it. We're in an era now, probably since like the 90s, of like so many trends happen at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like subgenres of culture and fashion. So you can have multiple cultural things going on because everything moves so fast and everyone's doing their different things and their different subcultures. So I don't really know the answer to that, but I do think that I don't think it's going to push it out too much, again, because that will probably be a trend that fades away, and then eventually we're back to like high rise again,
Yeah. It seems like it's kind of on a 20-year rotation, a lot of this stuff. That's kind of what the trend I've picked up on. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. 18 to 20 years, I always say. And if you really just go back 18, 20 years from today, you're going to see all that stuff is coming right into popular culture. And that's what people are going to be buying in the mainstream. But yet, if that's always how it's been, but yet the true denim still has held its value through all those waves. Yeah. It's kind of like I look at, when the pandemic hit and everyone's like, the world's over. We're, sell all your stock, like go live in the mountains. And you're like, okay, if the world's over, we're all fucked. There's no point in worrying about any of it, right? Like whether you have stock or cash, it's irrelevant because the value of any of it is gone if it goes that bad, right?
Oh yeah.
So you might as well take the gamble and bank on that's not going to happen, And all we have to judge the future by is the past, right? So it's like if we know that throughout history the timeline of denim has been strong and it continues to go up, then we can expect that to continue, in my opinion.
How did COVID impact your business? Because you're mostly online, right?
I have physical stores. During when COVID hit, I had 2 physical stores, and my stores are pretty much general vintage, youthful vintage. Like whatever's trending, I'll have in my shops. I'll put some higher end pieces, but mostly it's like everyday wearable, affordable vintage, right? Obviously, those stores closed, but we found, online went crazy. Online through COVID went crazy, and we're making tons of money.
Absolutely.
It's like
a lot of people were just stuck at home playing on their phones and computers with stimmy checks, wanting to buy jeans and whatever. And it's interesting because they're buying all this fashion.
How did it affect your business?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. They were buying all this awesome fashion stuff that they'd wear at home. Stay at home in your type 1. That's about when it peaked, I think, for me at least, was maybe 21. Yeah, probably summer of 2021.
How were you selling then? Like, were you selling online too?
IG, just people were messaging me, texting me, just wanting stuff, and I'd slap it in a box and mail it. Yeah, it was good.
Wow.
The picking sucked. The old people didn't like you just showing up. Peak COVID.
That must have been tough.
That was really rough. But this is kind of dark, but I think COVID towards the end of it was awesome for my business because a lot of older people died. and the people that just died from whatever causes not related to COVID, a lot of that stuff just stayed and people were not cleaning out. Like everybody just kind of went into lockdown and just stayed at their houses. Okay, grandma and grandpa passed away. We're just going to put a lock on their door and deal with their stuff later. And once that kind of lifted, and I'm still seeing it, but once it started to lift, there was this massive purge of stuff. And I started just getting truckloads of vintage from all of these old estates and all these people. So that it actually treated me very well. COVID did. Hate to benefit off of that, but that's what happened. It was in the right place at the right time.
That's the business. And, it's better to be you hauling that stuff and giving it a second chance out there in the world than it just going in the dump, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I'm in it to make money. We kind of all are. And because I don't want to work for the man, I don't want to work at Walmart, but I do genuinely care about this stuff and like this stuff. And that's one thing. Like I have a lot of people reaching out to me wanting to learn how to pick and how to do this and how to find bucklebacks. And the one thing I pretty much tell everybody is you have to care about the stuff, not the money. The people that are in it just straight up for the money, just as soon as they get something that's gone and on to the next pick, they don't have the emotion tied into it. And I feel like if you don't have emotion, you're not going to get into it as much. You're not going to get obsessed with it. You're not going to love it and research every single detail and know what you're doing. And as far as picking and clients, I think I do a lot better because they see how excited I get over a stupid pair of jeans. And they kind of feed on that excitement. Yeah, you get excited if you find a pair of jeans that you can sell for $5,000 because of the money aspect. I think they pick up on that. I'm excited because I found something historical that no one has seen in 100 years, and it's special, and I'm going to research and find out more about it, as opposed to, sweet, I just got a trip to Hawaii. I think they kind of can tell the difference there.
Yeah.
It's that time in the show when I talk to you about the Easy app, EZZE, in the App Store. Easy Live. I go live Wednesdays most of the time. Sometimes I'm busy. It's a live selling app partnered with BidStitch, guys. Download it, tune in. The Thrift Lord's been going live a ton. I go live Wednesdays. Linked down below if you want to download it. And come out, hang out. I bring my son Hudson on it. We have a good time. Tune in, buy shit, and sign up to be a seller yourself and make your own money. The app has tons of crazy functionality. You can post videos on there. You can post your items in your store. It has Shopify integrations. So jump on the Easy app.
So, you've obviously accumulated in the 5 years quite a lot of knowledge about denim. You have to learn quick if you're out there hunting it. You got to know what's what. Do you read up on this stuff, or does most of your knowledge come from actually handling it?
Every day,
yeah?
I read on it. And I harass the brains in this industry, and I keep talking about Denim Seeker, but I message that poor guy every single day looking for help. And
is he in your area, or is he somewhere else?
He's in Hong Kong. I've never even met the guy. Yeah, I haven't even met him, but we kind of connected back when I first started, and I was just like looking for help, and he just, I don't know why, because we're in different countries, everything just, it's different lives, but we kind of connected, and he just really kind of took me under his wing and started educating me on this stuff. And in turn, I try and give him really good deals on stuff that he really wants. And I can't say enough good stuff about that guy and how much he has like helped me learn. And I get schooled constantly in this. A lot of people refer to me as the buckleback guy, but I get schooled every single day. Like I'll find something and say, oh, this is from the 20s. And they're like, no, that's actually from the 40s. And this is why. And I'm like, oh, okay. I had no idea. So keeping your mind open and reaching out to the real experts in this industry are how you are going to succeed, I would say.
It is. I've been fooled a few times myself, because you'll find something and say you find something dead stock and you're used to seeing it totally worn and tattered.
Yeah.
That like in your brain like throws you off, right? You're like, this is weird. Like I've never seen one of these brand new and it seems odd or,
It's
and
fake.
you can be thrown off. And yeah, exactly. You got to be open-minded to that. And that's how you miss things because you're not like,
you
you're
look
too stuck in the way you think it is.
You see the tear and you're like, that's good. That's old. But you see something crispy and it just kind of throws you off for sure. And it's really hard with photographs when somebody sends you crappy flip phone photos of a pair of jeans or an after hood or something. And you're like, okay, I'm not sure I want to PayPal you $2,000 right now. That's
that happens so much to me. So this guy, Denim Seeker, he said he's in Hong Kong. So has he ever been in the trenches like you are, or is he more of a collector on the other side of the world buying these pieces up?
He is a collector, but he's more of an enthusiast, just nerd expert of this stuff. Like he wrote this book on identifying Levi's jackets. And he sent it to me because, English is a second language and I was an engineer and I learned how to write and read really well. And I was proofreading this thing and I was shocked at the detail that he had. He was counting stitches on every jacket and how the stamp is located on a button or a rivet. And he laid this thing out and it just blew me away. I mean, the guy must have had thousands of hours into this. And
wow.
He is just obsessed and brilliant with this stuff. I would definitely recommend giving him a follow. It's Denim, I think Denim_Seeker on Instagram. Probably be a really good interview. Just saying.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He is a mind when it comes to this stuff.
I get my my next podcast guest the same way you get your next dig, just by word of mouth on the show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he could absolutely school the community. He knows more about this stuff than anybody I've ever talked to. So that's wild. That's I've also had many people in my career help me, and there's people I can go to for certain knowledge, and it really helps to have a mentor in that world, especially when you're learning. There's just too much. It's like we kind of pick off where people left off, so you have to like gain that beginning knowledge from somebody to like have a starting point to go and get your own. And one day you might be the sort of knowledge base of bucklebacks, because it sounds like you're gonna have them all, Oh yeah, and I do like to share information. I mean, there's some stuff you got to kind of keep under wraps, and that's one thing that kind of irks me about this industry is how much secrecy there is. And there's a lot of people that don't want to talk about it, don't want to share it. They just want to be real secretive and get their stuff and sell it and move it and not talk about it, not sit down and get excited about the stuff. And I'm not exactly sure where that comes from. I guess this is still kind of an undiscovered business, I'd say. I mean, I know a lot of entrepreneurs that have made millions of dollars that have never heard about bucklebacks or red lines or after hoods or Kurt Cobain t-shirts. Like, they have no clue. And I think a lot of people kind of feed on that. Oh, we got this secret hustle we're doing, kind of like the cartel, the clothing cartel. And I honestly think that getting more people excited about it and educating people about it is going to improve the market. Because I have taught people about this stuff that had no idea at all. They didn't really care about it. And then they start to get a passion for it, and they see that excitement I have, and I share this information with them and tell them how special this stuff is. And then they get all fired up and they get all excited, and then they start collecting, and then they start hunting it, and then they start selling to me or buying from me. And I've made some awesome connections like that just by being open and kind of sharing what I do with people.
Yeah, totally. It grows the business in general to share the knowledge. Of course, There's things that I don't share with people. There's things that you're not going to share with people. There's tricks of the trade. There's secrets.
Yep.
But when it comes to the knowledge of the clothing itself and a lot of other things, it's like that stuff is out there. Like if you go to Japan, you can literally rack yourself 50 magazines on denim or 100 books on denim in Japan, and you can learn everything there is to know from a book pretty quickly. It's been published. It just hasn't been published in America, and which is kind of crazy to me. All these things are out there in Japan. You can buy books on them, but we haven't done that in America besides a few like niche publications, and
I think that's what Denim Seeker has done. There's no other explanation. I mean, I can find the weirdest ass garment in a barn somewhere that's just ridiculous, and he'll know exactly what it is. And you'll be like, oh, Frank made that. Like, he knows everything about this stuff. And I think that's probably where he got a lot of his knowledge, is kind of diving into those resources that are available on this stuff. I should probably try and do that more.
I mean, you can spend thousands of dollars on all these books. I have quite a lot. I have a shelf right here beside me of lots of books. I was at Inspiration a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, should I just buy all these Clutch magazines? Because they had a table full of them.
We need them on audiobook.
It is out there, yeah. But the beautiful thing about it is there's still things being learned, which is cool to me, because that means that there's still things to discover. There's still pairs out there that haven't been seen. There's brands maybe or details that haven't been seen. That's what keeps it interesting. And also finding something that you've never seen. We all know that's like the dopamine.
Oh yeah. Or those pieces that those pieces that you hear about other people finding, and you don't even get to see a picture because it's that crazy, that special. And you're just like, man, I want to find something like that so bad. So I'll show you one here. This was my number one. I wanted one of these so bad for years. Well, 5 years, I guess. But I had heard people talk about, Lee cowboy jeans, really hard to find. And then there's the hair patch Lee cowboy jean, the buckleback.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would kill for one of those. I want one so bad. And this lady in Mystery State reaches out to me, and she's like, I got a bunch of old jeans, and they've got this weird belt on the back. Do you want to see it? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like asking her what there is, and she's like, well, there's this Lee jean that has this big patch on the back that has hair on it. I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, we're getting in the car. And I show up, and she pulls this out of a box. It's a 36 waist Lee cowboy hair patch with the hair still on it, buckle back, really dark. And it's weird. So the camera's inverted, but this is a left side laughing E tag on a 30s Lee cowboy buckleback. And she pulled this out of the box, and I about lost my mind, and I got it, and it's a centerpiece of my collection. And I never thought I'd ever even see one in person. And then there it was in front of me, and she wanted to be paid. And it actually fits, and I wear it on occasion.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen the horsehair patch only on kids' pieces. I've never, I don't think, seen the adult size.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny because that's got a side patch, but then later they went to the center patch. They went back to the side patch.
Yep. And I've seen it on the right side before. I think that's where it usually is located, is over here on the right side, or in the middle on the older stuff. But this is the first time I've ever actually seen it on the left side, and that's where the jerky is too. Is it's also on that left side. And for what we're talking about when we say hair patch, for the people that don't really know a lot about this stuff, is it actually is a piece of cowhide with the hair still on it. They cut it off the hide, and they hand branded Lee into that patch. And it's the most sought after characteristic on any sort of Lee garment, is having that hair patch. Because quite often the jerky, as we call it, that's a leather tag that at one time was legible. You could read all the print on it, and with the age and moisture, they dry out and they become what we call a piece of jerky tag. So to have something that's legible like that is really, really special. So a little bit of a nerd out there for you.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool. I always thought that was sick how they would brand it, just like the cow, like a ranch would brand their cattle. You know.
Yeah, super, super neat feature.
Very cool detail.
Can I bounce one off of you? I just found this in that World War II veterans estate I told you about, and I've never seen one of these before. It's probably a 20-inch pit, and it looks like it's got a 20s tag in it. It's two-tone.
Yeah.
Orange and black.
It's beautiful. Shawl collar. Knit.
Shawl collar. It says Lorenz on the tag, Chicago. So you've seen these before? Is this like
that type of sweater? Yeah, we have one right now. We have like a Spalding one that's like it's not beautiful color like that. It's like a cream color.
Is it a collegiate thing? Because this guy was a miner. He was World War II vet that was a miner, lived in middle of nowhere mining country, and that was just a weird thing to find. I mean, like an afterhood. Those do not exist up here. You don't find them up here in workwear country, blue jean country.
Yeah. I mean, that looks like a Princeton because of the orange, right? To me, when I first seen it, but definitely a collegiate style piece. They might have sold those in catalogs though too from that time period. If you look back,
interesting,
beautiful sweater though.
So he also had, I told you, the black bear corduroy bucklebacks and a couple other buckleback corduroys, which again was kind of weird to see in a mining town. Like that seems more of like what do you think about that?
Well, weren't pre-denim, everybody wore stuff like corduroy or wool twill or whatever it was. But those are probably like 20s corduroy bucklebacks, or what age? I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be my guess, 20s, 30s. But it just seemed weird for a guy that was a laborer to be wearing corduroy when denim was readily available in that town.
Maybe that was his casual wear. You know, you can't wear your uniform out every day.
Yeah, interesting. It kind of threw me off.
I've never seen a pair of corduroy black bear bucklebacks.
Me neither. And
I don't even think I've seen a pair of black bear jeans today until you showed me. I think every piece I've ever had has either been a coverall or a jacket.
Yeah, they're tough to find. I mean, all I really focus on is the jeans when they're offered out because I just got this obsession with jeans. The jackets, not as much, but I'll tell you, back when I first started, I screwed up so bad when it came to something black bear. It was after I had found that black bear buckleback, and I was like, I'd like to have a black bear jacket. I think that'd be kind of cool. And I was, brand new to this, and there was this black bear chore coat on eBay, and it was a buy it now. I think it was $200. It was blue denim, and it was a 46 chest. I buy this thing, and it shows up, and it was $200, and I'm like, this doesn't fit. I mean, I'm a big guy. I wear a 50, 52. And I'm like, this doesn't fit. So I stuck it in a box and sent it back for $200. Had the big donut buttons and the black bear label and sent it back. I think it was World War II.
Well,
for $200.
That person's like, okay.
This goes, okay.
I'll take that back.
I felt like an idiot. But I was like, oh, you misrepresented the size. I thought it was going to be bigger. And yeah, I kind of felt like a fool.
Well,
and I still think about that one.
And now you're looking for that pair again, no matter what the size.
I would love to have that jacket back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, we've all had those. There's lots of regrets. You got to move past them. Keep stacking the bucklebacks.
Can I ask you what your biggest regret piece is that you let go?
Biggest regret piece. I don't know. I had the Filson Cruiser shirt. If you know that piece,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the Filson Cruiser shirt was like a 1913 Filson garment.
Oh,
Pull over chin strap. The Cruiser jacket.
Yes.
The shirt version.
Okay.
Duck canvas. Pull over. Beautiful, and this thing was like dead stock. It had mother of pearl buttons that were like they were not perfectly round or anything. Like they were like looked like really primitive style kind of buttons.
Love that.
And then the pocket configuration on it's weird because the early Cruiser has like big chest pockets, then one big pocket below, and then a small pocket. So it's this weird pocket.
Really weird.
It's super cool jacket. I sold that. I mean, I did get good money for it, but that was like one of these like holy grail pieces that never turns up. They like reissued it for their 100-year or 150th anniversary or whatever it was. And I mean, that's one. There's probably lots of things that I can see in your eyes,
dude. You're like kind of dead inside. Yeah. Mine is probably that war pair of 501s that Sam has still got.
That Sam has? At least you know where they are.
I know where they are. That makes me really happy. I mean, he's one of the most honest, best guys in this business. And I'm glad that he's the guy who has them. There's one other guy I'd prefer had them, but...
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Me, myself, this and
fella. This fella.
So you're a family man.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
have kids?
Yep, got 2. 1 and 5.
Nice.
Yeah, they're
so
crazy.
So the 1-year-old's home all the time still, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we homeschool. So we got the 5-year-old home too. But they're out at the park right now. Yeah, they're at the park right now. Because you wouldn't be able to hear me if they were in the house.
Yeah, how's homeschooling?
It's good. I mean, it's pretty early yet, but he's doing really good. Mama's really good at homeschooling him, and he's learning his numbers and his letters, and he wants to pick with Papa. He calls me Papa, and he's like, Papa, we go pick? We go pick. So I'll take him to a thrift store or sometimes on a really mild pick, but I've run into a couple problems because you never know what you're going into. And I had him once when he was 3 years old with me, and it was supposed to just be this house call, and ended up digging just this huge barn and all these sheds, and I was finding 50s denim and 40s denim and sweatshirts and t-shirts, and I got this like little 3-year-old kid like I'm trying to like hold under my arm while digging through these nasty buildings, but he loves it. He's going to be the next gen.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome.
What about your
my
kids?
oldest. Yeah, I have a 10 and 7, almost 7. He turned 7 in like a couple weeks. And my oldest 11-year-old, he just turned 11. He comes with me picking. I take him on stuff, and he's like interested in the business, and
that's cool.
We'll go to thrifts, and he came to one of our big sales one time, and he was super stoked. We do these big like clear out sales. Yeah, he's into it. And I'll tell him sometimes, like on crazy pieces, I'll show him something and be like, check out this cool thing. It's worth this much or whatever. And he gets shocked because he's like trying to sell his lemonade on the corner to make $20 for the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, it fuels me like that he's interested in. I mean, he's still just a little guy, but he always asks, he's like, can I go picking with Papa? Want to go picking with Papa? Want to go find jeans? Go find pants for Papa.
That's awesome. It's like Indiana
cool.
Jones, you know Indiana Jones, where his dad started the search for the Holy Grail, and then like he passes it on to his son, and then his son takes it to the next level. It's like he's gonna grow up now with like all these things around him that nobody really gets to see.
Exactly.
And he can take it to like a whole nother level,
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be a designer and use all that stuff for inspiration.
Yeah. Gosh, I sure hope so. He seems to like it now, and I'm looking forward to having a picking buddy when he gets a little bit bigger. I can send him kind of into those really small spots in the mines, and
Yeah, right. Like, there you go. I'm gonna tie a rope around your waist, crawl 200 meters into this hole.
Grab
If
anything
you get in
blue.
trouble, I'll yank you.
Only once, and I hope this isn't child endangerment. I was on one of these picks, and there were these two shelves in this old warehouse, and well, they were back to back, and there was a channel about like that, and I saw a piece of clothing laying on the floor back there, and I tried for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, I was like, can you go get that? Can you go get that for Daddy? And he's like, yeah. And he goes back in there and picks it up and drags it out. It was a pair of jeans, and
Nice.
That's the only time. Mama doesn't know about that.
Good story for his wedding.
Yeah.
What made you guys decide to homeschool, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was homeschooled. I grew up really, really rural, 30 miles from the nearest sidewalk. Walmart was 100 miles away. And
Wow.
Came from a big family, and Mom and Dad homeschooled us. And out of the 8 kids, I think just about every single one of us became a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. And
Wow.
it just really seemed to work out. We did have a pretty good social life, which most homeschool kids don't, as there were other ranches nearby that had homeschool kids. And we didn't have a huge, big group of people or group of kids like at a regular public school. But those ranches nearby, like, we were always hanging out with the other kids. And
Yeah.
it was just a great way to grow up, and there's a lot of freedom to it. So when all the other kids were in school, when I was 13 or 14, I'd be out hunting and fishing. I'd get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, get all my school done by 11 or noon, and I'd go out and I'd hunt and fish and go out and start picking antiques. And it was just really a good experience because there was a lot more freedom to it. And I got to go on more trips with my dad and mom and do more of that family sort of stuff. And if I'm going to be on the road picking in the next, 6-7 years, and my kid's homeschooled, he can do his math in the truck.
Did you go to public school then only for college, or not public school, but did you go on from homeschooling right to college, or did you go to any high school or anything?
No, I was K-12 homeschooled and went straight into Western and 4.0 through math and science, and went into engineering and had a great education. I mean, my mom and dad were really, really good at homeschooling kids. And
yeah, that's a lot of work, right? Like, you put in the time.
For that many kids, it's crazy. It's crazy. We've got one we're doing it with, and it's a lot of work.
My only experience was COVID, when they were like, you got to like keep your kid doing stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot of work. So good on you for doing that. I do know a few people who do it, and I think it's awesome. I think that's super cool. So
yeah. It's a lot of work, and it's going to be a lot more work when these kids start getting older and start getting into the higher level math and such. But having the engineering degree, hopefully I'm able to help them with 8th grade math. We'll see.
Yeah. And it sounds like from the way you run your business, you have a lot of freedom to be able to make those time schedules at work, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And my wife is stay at home. She was a quality assurance manager for a big aircraft company for a couple of years. And when this denim thing really took off, and I was making more money selling jeans and flipping clothes than both of us were combined working full-time careers, we both quit our jobs, and I do this full-time. She manages the books and watches the kids.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love it too.
I got one more question, and then we're going to get into our sort of ender quick hit questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Huey? He said, tell him Horvath House.
Oh gosh. The Horvath House. So I had Huey and Mallory Ridge. Those are the Instagram. It's Huey Stitches, Mallory Ridge. And we have a picker code. So when we go out picking, and there's 3 of us, if it's my lead, for example, I got the connection, I got the lead, I get to make the call on what everybody else keeps. If it's Huey's lead, we jump in the truck with him, and he can leave us with a dirty t-shirt, and he keeps all the bucklebacks. And we don't complain. That's our deal. But we kind of hope, to be fair with each other. So I worked on this place for about 2 years, knew it was juicy, finally get this phone call, and the guy's like, come on up and dig this thing. So I take Mallory Ridge, Andrew, and Huey, Houston, up to this place, and we didn't know what we were getting into. We weren't prepared, and that ended up being a problem because we didn't have masks or gloves or any PPE. And we get into this thing, and this house was just abandoned in the 60s, maybe early 70s, and it's just piled. And we start going through the top level of this place, and the old farmer's like, yeah, just take your time, dig whatever. And we're pulling out all these great clothes, and it's nasty, gross mouse and rat. And then I find this door that goes down to a basement. I'm like, oh, that's where the good stuff is. I get down there, that deep in rat poop. Kid you not.
Oh, man.
I shit thee not. It was this deep in rat crap, and it was still wet, and it burned your eyes to just be in there. And I'm like, all right, we got to go. We got to get PPE and come back the next day. It's about 3 p.m. And we tell the farmer, he's like, well, we're driving a dozer through that thing tomorrow. I'm like, it's go time, boys. And we get in there, and this is Mallory Ridge, Andrew's first real dig, so he's kind of new to this. And I'm like, okay, we're digging through this stuff. I've got some cotton gloves we're going to wear. Just when you move stuff, just go like this. Don't stir it up. And we're being good. We're digging through it until he finds I think it was 4 pairs of 40s Can't Bust 'Ems with the donut buttons, all in a stack, 36 waist underneath this rat poop. And he just starts to hyperventilate, and then he's just throwing this stuff in the air like it's confetti. And I'm like, bro, this isn't a good idea. And he's like, there's denim in here, man. We gotta dig. We gotta find this stuff. And there's a picture, I think, on my IG, kind of back of him just covered in stuff. And we end up just pulling all this crazy stuff out of there. And I tell these guys, I'm like, so this was a major, dangerous, bad thing for us to do. So we're going to split this one 3 ways down the middle, and because it was just that dangerous. And fast forward a couple days, we're like cleaning this stuff, and Andrew calls me and he's like, I don't feel very good. And he's like, I'm in the ER, and I have, I think he had some sort of a blood infection and some respiratory infection. And they're like, he's like, they think it's hantavirus, and there's a good chance it's going to kill me.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, this is this kid's first dig ever, and he's going to die
a deadly profession.
He's going to die from rat disease. But
that's insane.
He ended up pulling out of it, and now he's got denim fever, blue fever, really bad. But that was
and a really nasty. Good gas mask for going in houses,
respirator, goggles, whole kit. But that was really the most disgusting one I think I've ever been on. But what are you gonna do when you know there's just amazing stuff down there, and it's gonna be dozed the next day? And I was like, is there any way that you can move it? And he's like, no, I got a crew coming up here to doze that thing because they're putting a new house in. So I was like, all right, this is up to you guys if you want to do it or you don't want to do it.
I mean,
but you get a third.
I know the choice I would make. I'd go in, man. It's like,
get in there.
I mean, get in there. That's crazy. I've been in similar situations, not so much farmhouses, but hoarder houses where they just didn't they were so mentally ill that they let the houses get wet and moldy and disgusting, and you're like, they're living in these houses,
and it's a major biohazard.
A huge biohazard. but you still got to go in and see what's there.
You have
can't
to.
not, you know?
And I mean, to pull that much crazy stuff out of a house, you don't get opportunities like that. Like, it might look like on my Instagram, I'm finding this stuff every day, but I'm not. Like, for the number of like good posts I do on my Instagram of cool stuff I find, dude, there's 100 or 200 absolute Kirkland jeans that I drove 3 hours to go check out. Like, that happens constantly. But so when you get an opportunity and you know their stuff, you roll up the sleeves and dive into the poo, man.
Dive into the rat poo. Glad Huey pulled through on that one. Jeez.
Oh, dude, yeah, that was rough. That was Drew that got really sick, Andrew, but yeah, there was the three of us there. So one fun little point about that is there's this thing that our crew have kind of come to call the like the feeling, or the like this feeling that there's something there, like a sixth sense. And I'm sure other pickers, you probably as well kind of get that. If you get into a place and you're like, I know there's something here, I can feel it. And we had dug that whole thing for hours all through the poo and found all this cool stuff. And we're on our way out, and I'm like, we missed something. I know we missed something. And Andrew was still all fired up. He's like, we're going to go back and we're going to find it because I feel it too. And Houston at that point was like, he was like borderline throwing up outside in the yard. So Andrew and I dived down into this basement, and there's this old bed in the corner, just nasty. Like, this mattress looked like somebody had died on it. And I'm like, okay, this is the only thing we haven't touched. So I pick this mattress up and flip it over, and on top of the springs were 2 quilts folded up, and both of them had big stifle, or the way it's pronounced, stiefel, patches on it, including some star pattern stuff. And these quilts were so old, and one of them has what looks like 1800s Levi's stuff on it with the big weird wavy selvage. And I was like, that's what we missed. So we packed those babies out, and
that was a quilt.
It was a couple quilts just made out of just insane 20s to 1800s workwear and stifle pieces. So that feeling thing, I think that's something that probably a lot of pickers, I think, kind of can detect, like that sixth sense. Like, you drive by a property and you're like, there's something in that barn, I can feel it. We got to find a way. We got to go knock. And 90% of the time it has paid off. And I could go down a list and tell you a bunch of those where it's either a jerky tag.
Get in touch with your sixth sense.
Yep.
Trust your intuition.
Absolutely.
Let it guide you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to jump into our quick questions, okay?
Sounds good.
What is your favorite personal cut of Levi's?
Oh, 501. Absolutely.
Could have guessed that.
Yeah, probably the 53. 1953,
So,
I think, was about the best. Or no, 47, sorry.
What's the difference between that one and the other ones?
They just seem to fit a little better, like in the thighs, at least for me. They sit really nice on the hips. The older ones seem to be a little more boxy. So like the War model, I mean, is a crazy amazing jean. But like the 47, they just fit nice. I've got a couple personal pairs, and they just are a good looking jean. They're still made out of that really heavy XX denim. One side red tab. Yeah. That's probably my favorite.
Do you have any pairs of the Levi's reproduction 47s?
No, sir.
No. You wear only
I'm not a
authentic
sinner.
denim?
Sorry. Purist
right.
here.
I love it. I just wanted to know maybe how they actually compare, but
they don't, man.
You're a purist. Yeah.
They don't.
Good call. Okay, so in your opinion, who is the GOAT, the greatest in the vintage game? Like, who do you look up to, male and female?
Gosh, there's several of them. So Eric Schrader, I mean, he's the man.
Another Idaho legend.
He's the man for sure. Has a lot of knowledge. Kind of one of the pioneers, kind of like with Britt Eaton. Again, one of the original guys, jumping into the rat poo, just diving in and getting into the mines and doing that crazy stuff. I mean, that kind of was what inspired me, was Britt. He had this show, Ghost Town Gold. It was on Netflix.
Yeah.
It was a pretty small thing, and I was watching it, and he went on this drive, and I'm like, he drove right by my house where I grew up. I saw it on the show.
No way.
Like, this SOB was pulling blue jeans out of my yard before I knew what they were. And
that's crazy.
I was like, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. And that kind of really kicked me off. And then as far as like goats, when it comes to knowledge, again, Denim Seeker. And I think a lot of these guys know a lot about this stuff, a ton, but they don't like to share it. Denim Seeker is like the only one who will just tell you everything and anything and expect nothing in return. So that's probably what I would say as far as for goats.
Okay. A question, back to your ranch days, your youth. Were you on a cattle ranch?
Yeah, I grew up on a cattle ranch in Montana. And
wow, so you're proper cowboy.
It was a lot of work, and it was a good way to grow up. And kind of the drive, I think the motivation that our parents had is they moved out there from Tacoma. And they wanted to get us kind of into the ranch life and kind of living off the grid almost. But they had us work on ranches as we were growing up, not necessarily their ranch, but the neighboring ranches. And we're talking $4 an hour, $5 an hour, shoveling out stalls full of poo for hours. And you do that for 8 or 10 hours, maybe get kicked by a cow or trampled. And you're like, I made $38 today. And they're always like, so if you go to school and work really hard and focus on your homeschool, you won't have to do this. So every one of us became doctor, engineer, lawyer. And that was kind of the drive behind that. And when I started getting into, so I've always been a picker since I was like just a little kid. I was flipping stuff. But when I started this denim thing, I just kind of dug back into my memories, and I'm like, I picked all these ranches. I worked for all of these massive ranches all the way around. I know all these guys. I've gone through their sheds. I know where this stuff is laying because I left it there. I tossed the bucklebacks out of the way so I could take a Coca-Cola bottle. So I was able to kind of dig back into that and into that community where my roots were and turn that into a really successful source, a lucrative source.
Yeah, you had it in your blood already. Mm-hmm. You just didn't know it yet.
Yep. Wish I'd known 10 years ago.
Did anybody take over the ranch? Any of your siblings?
No. Everybody's kind of moved out. Mom and dad are still out there, and dad just had a crazy serious battle with cancer, and he miraculously pulled through it. So they were just about to list it for sale, but they're going to stay there for a few more years. And then I think it's going to be gone, which is a shame because there's not even cell reception out there. So it's like, you can't really make a life and live out there and work out there.
Yeah, well, that's the story of probably most of them, right? You can still hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, one of my things just died, so we'll get this done quick here.
Okay.
Okay, so what is your most prized piece that you currently have? And this is not about value. It's just about something that you really like. You've talked about black bear a lot, so maybe that's it. But
oh boy, there's a couple. Not price-wise. So I have this jacket, and I don't know if it's how true the story is, but I've talked to a couple military guys, Urban Military on Instagram. He's a good resource. But I have this jacket that is a U.S. Navy kind of pre-war, early war jacket. And I was on this pick, kind of local actually. It was really interesting. It was after church. This lady was like, hey, come out and dig. And she started showing me all these pictures, and they were all World War II, and they were of her father who had passed a couple years prior. And I'm like looking at him and asking her these questions. I was like, so where was he stationed? She's like, oh, he started in Pearl Harbor, and then there was the attack, and then he ended up in the Philippines. And I'm like looking at all these pictures, and boy, I'm so sorry. I'm starting to get a little goosebumpy and emotional here, but okay, so there's all these pictures, and it shows him in before Pearl Harbor was hit, so late November, early December, and he's smiling and goofing off, wearing like the flowers and hanging out with his buddies, and they're drinking, and all these pictures are dated. And then there's a gap, and then there's pictures late December, January, and he's just dark. His demeanor completely changed. And what she said is that he was on the Oklahoma, and Saturday night, he and a couple of his buddies, so it was bombed Sunday morning. Saturday night, him and a couple of his buddies, instead of going out and drinking and partying with everybody else, he went to bed early, got up really early, and took a rowboat out into the harbor, and they were fishing and just hanging out. And then all of a sudden, all these planes started coming in and lighting up Battleship Row. And they were out there in the rowboat, absolutely helpless, and watched the Oklahoma get rolled and the Arizona get blasted and all their comrades die. And this jacket that he had is one of those, like a foul weather U.S. Navy with all the latches on the front. And that was his jacket. And I guess he was wearing it that morning. And it has like burn marks and grease and stuff on it. And maybe that was from after the war. But it's just a really special piece that I've got, and hearing her tell the story about this guy and that jacket either being on the ship when it was rolled and it was recovered, or was on his body while he was pulling buddies out of the harbor. So that piece...
That's wild, man.
Yeah, that piece gives me a... Yeah. Really special piece, and I was really honored to own it.
Yeah. Doing, what you do, you get to learn these stories more than most people probably, where if you're picking at a thrift store, you just buy something. But if you're out at somebody's house, you really have way deeper attachment to what's behind these pieces of clothes, the lives these people lived and who they were, and all these things.
Yeah, there's such a connection that you can get, especially through blue jeans. So like the indigo on these things, on the denim, the dye, it tells a story like no other garment does. Like this, you maybe can see that maybe he smoked. Like there'll be some spots where some ashes hit the jacket. But like you look at this is a World War II 501. See the match strikes. This guy smoked.
Yeah.
You can see he carried a wallet. You can see he carried a pocket watch that he chewed. You can see that he rode a horse because of how it's stacked in the back. You can see marks from the spurs. You can even see where he cuffed him up and dumped his cigarette ash in there, maybe when he was in a car or a restaurant or something. Like, you can just see so much about this guy and the life that he lived just kind of through the fades and the story that it tells. I mean, that's kind of why I'm connected to this stuff is, I mean, yeah, I guess you can get that through buying somebody's classic car or what, but this is the stuff that kind of speaks to me.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I love it. Do you have, most of these old jeans that you have in your possession, do you have these sort of backstories for them? And is that some of the stuff you retain?
Almost, yeah. So again, this is probably one of the biggest advantages to acquiring this stuff ethically. So not just looting it out of somebody's barn and running off with it, is you get to hear the stories and people will tell you where this stuff came from and the background on it. And that adds a lot of intrinsic value and in some cases monetary value to this stuff. So if we have a couple minutes, I can tell you another one that'll tear jerk you. So I got this call to come up and buy a bunch of jeans, and it was about a 10-hour drive through a blizzard. And there was a bunch of really crazy old denim. And I'm like, okay, how is there this many bucklebacks in one place? What's going on here? So I ended up laying this whole collection out, and I could tell there were 4 different guys, 3 of which were skinnier in there, and there was a big guy that was like a 36 or 38 waist. And this is almost all bucklebacks through the early 50s. And I'm laying all this stuff out, looking at all the wear patterns, determined that there's 3 or 4 different guys. And I talked to the person who had owned this stuff, and they said, well, this came from a family of a guy and his 3 sons. I'm like, okay. And I'm like looking, and I'm like, why is there bucklebacks from the 3 sons right up until when World War II started? Then there's not another pair. But the bigger pairs of jeans go all the way to the 50s. So I do some research and come to find out this was on a ranch way back in Mystery State. And when the war started, World War II, these guys got drafted. None of the 3 boys made it back. Dad was left by himself on this ranch to run this ranch. And if you look at his denim, his jeans, you can see through the ages of the stuff. I even have the stuff from when the sons were little kids, all the way up to when they became teenagers, early 20s, and then they got drafted. And you look at the bigger pairs of jeans that were Dad's jeans. When World War II started, all of the jeans from that era, the match strikes, so there were match strikes on all this stuff, but once the war started, the match strikes increased like crazy. So he was under stress. The chew can mark was like worn all the way through. So, and the jeans were way more torn up. Now this guy was running this ranch by himself, had no sons left. He lost all 3 of them in the war. And you can see this story through the denim. You can see the oldest son, he smoked a little bit, a few match strikes here and there.
That's wild.
And this guy, he lived all the way through World War II by himself. He lost his wife earlier on, so he was by himself. And you can see his very earliest pairs have these beautiful little repairs on them that were obviously done by his wife. And then his stuff, let me show you a pair here. This is really, really something. I got a special pair here. Give me 1 second. Here we go. This was a little later on. Look at those repairs.
He's just getting it done.
Just
do what you got to do.
Whatever works, just to get it done through the war. And by himself. No one to take care of him anymore. No one to cook for him. Through the war and through the late 40s, the size on the jeans went from like a 36 on down. He was losing weight and smoking and stressed out. But this actually does have a happy ending. So this lady, this person I got the stuff from, she tells me that he remarried in 51 or 52. And all of a sudden, all the jeans from that era, no match strikes, no chew marks, beautiful repairs, and they all sized up. And he died in like 54, and the last pairs of jeans were like a 40 waist. So he got married, mama cooked for him, fed him, made him stop smoking, made him stop chewing. He passed away, and she shut the doors of the ranch house and sold it and never looked back. And that denim all laid there until I got it a couple years ago.
That's crazy.
Just an insane story.
The whole lineage, the history. Wow. Well, we'll end it there, man. Hearing your take on this and your true passion for denim and the stories, and it's much deeper than I thought. And thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, absolutely, man. I love this stuff. Absolutely love it. It's my passion. I'm obsessed with it. So anytime I can share and the people don't glaze over, then I'm happy to share.
That's very cool. You know, it's made me realize I need to take more appreciation for the clothes, learn more about them. Like you're a good example for all of us to sort of dive deeper, because it is about the stories, and there's a lot to it. And like you said, if you're passionate about it, you know, it'll come naturally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much. Are we done, or you got some quick fire questions, or where are we at?
No, we're done, man.
All right.
Those were all of them.
That sounds good. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for subbing to the channel. Much love to everybody. Much appreciated. You do not know how much it means. We will keep the full episodes running weekly. Stay tuned and have yourself a great week.